Good evening, tankers. How are we all this evening? Welcome to a first time for the Asia server fighting the Russians. My name is Napalm. Joining me this evening, the one and only Ravi. How are you?
Good, thanks, you. Thank you for the intro there, Nate Palmer. I am keen for tonight. I am seriously excited for these games because, as you said, this is the first time that APAC get diverse AU this time.
That's correct. It's been a long time. I think even going back to Wargaming League days since we've seen a clash between these servers. Something I've honestly been looking forward to for quite a long time. And it's interesting to see just what sort of difference is going to be in skill, in meta, in tanks people pick. I'm very keen for tonight.
Yeah, the tanks we'll probably see a lot of meta tanks that we usually see when we have like usual advances or clan wars. Maybe there'll be a bit of a mix up in what kind of tank lineups they're going to use, but I reckon we'll still normally see the usual lineups here.
That might be the case. But our two teams tonight, would you like to introduce them?
So yeah, our first team we have ATLUS. So our ATLUS lineup, as you can probably see, it's very similar to from when we had the EU and NA showdown. As you can see there, Yuhei and Cape Lana are the team captains for ATLUS, and as you can see that there is Angelina. Angelina is from Packin. Packin, am I correct, Nate Palmer?
Yes, so Packen, also known as Steam, uh, another highly successful clan on the Asia server. And one of the interesting rules from this tournament is that both teams are allowed legionnaires from other clans. Only a few, but it's very interesting to see a very strong caller, Angelina, contributing their input towards the games tonight.
Yes, indeed. So as we look at the Atlas lineup, as you can see that Miki, Aniki, developer, Amrushi, Guri, Nipa, Kiyoshi, they're the normal lineup that we saw, usual players that we saw last time when we had the EU versus APAC and NA versus APAC showdown. So be interesting to see who they're going to use tonight, or will they just stick to the usual core players?
Yeah, look, I'll be very curious to see exactly who's on the team, as you said. And as you said, a lot of core players there, very strong. Yamato Noob, Mori Chan, Opalisk, uh, very competent players for the Asia server.
Very. They're up the top there for number like in the top 50 for the players on APAC, in my opinion.
Alrighty, and our second team for tonight, Oil, someone that we haven't heard a lot of in the Asia server.
No, but by looking at the team lineup here, the names that you can see, there's a couple of names that really do stand out for me that were in WGL, and that was Server and Near You. I believe they played in Tornado. Correct me if I am wrong, but I reckon they played in one of the top teams for the CIS region.
I am very familiar with the name near you. I can't remember who he played for, but I know he is an incredibly strong player, and it's no surprise that he is the team captain for Oil.
Indeed, but as we can see there might be a few other names that you might find did play in WGL. But I believe this is mainly a team that was formed from Tornado.
Indeed. So, the question is tonight for both teams, will ping be an issue? I know, especially for Atlas, being a predominantly Japanese team, they will have, I would assume, at least 150, maybe 200 ping to the Russian server. And I'm not sure, because with the Russian server, there's a lot of different peripheries. I'm not sure what server the oil players predominantly play on. So potentially they might be having some ping issues tonight as well.
Yeah, so depending on where they live in Russia, it all depends on what their ping is. But as you said, Atlas, since they're all predominantly Japan players, their ping would be fairly low. It's probably it's a very playable 150 compared to as we see on the Hong Kong server for our local ANZ players. But I believe that server 8, I tried looking it up just then, and it's not listed, so I can't give you the exact location for it. But I believe that the CIS players will be playing with probably about 50 to 80 MS.
Yeah, absolutely. So it'll be certainly interesting to see if people have ping issues. But moving on, maps. So tonight we have an extravaganza, as the legendary Stu JP would say. It is a best of 17. Am I correct in saying that?
19.
No, best of 19.
Sorry, no, 17. Yes, sorry, I'm thinking of 9 for some reason. It is a best of 17. You are correct.
It is no, well, it's 17 games, best of 9. So I think that would be what we're confusing ourselves with. But
Yes.
moving on to the bans, Steps banned by ATLUS. Interesting. They did not do very well against Mahao on Steps, if I remember correctly. So
Yes, it's very correct. Sorry to cut you off there, but also when they did, since they didn't do too well against Mahu on steps, they also banned it when they versed V in the EU showdown.
yeah, so definitely a bit of experience going into what maps they're not a fan of picking. So, and it's certainly an interesting pick. Wouldn't be my first ban, but ATLUS clearly has an idea. And Oil banning Redshire, an unusual ban, uh, especially considering that there are maps like Ensk in rotation. But maybe Oil is just not a fan of Redshire.
Yeah, I am uncertain on how Oil plays, like what their style gameplay is in these kind of formats. So it's very uncertain to know exactly why they banned Red Shy, but I believe there is a good reason for it.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, as well, we don't know a lot about Oil. We haven't seen much of their gameplay. We haven't seen much of their tactics. So it's going to be a little bit interesting to see, whether they prefer hyper aggressive rushes, whether they prefer to play a bit more calculated, methodical. So maybe there's a bit of logic in the Redshire ban. But we don't have a lot of time, so would you mind going through the rest of the maps?
Yep. So Atlas was had the first pick of picking Fisherman's Bay. As you can see there, that sorry, my bad. Um, it will be Oil on the defense first. Then Oil chose Cliff, which will bring Atlas to defending first. Then Himmelsdorf for Atlas's pick. They also Atlas also picked Proc, Malinovka, and so yeah, they Atlas are pretty picking their strong maps right off the bat there, which is really good of them. They're hoping that they can get a couple wins from those maps. And the rest of the Oils picks is Sand River, Ensk, and Muravanka. And if we do get to it, we have the tiebreaker on Corellia. Now, with the tiebreaker on Corellia, I have to confirm something here. I believe that the spawns on Corellia are inverted.
That is
So that means
correct.
so that means the is it the north side can't north side will be the defending side,
No, no,
correct?
I believe it's the other way around. The north side is the attacking side.
Yes.
So one of the common things we see on Corellia is that the northeast corner is hosting a lot of really toxic camps. So it's difficult to break if they try to camp in the corner. So it'll be interesting to see exactly how it goes if we do get to Corellia.
So if we do get the Corellia, then good job for Atlas. Bit of a thumbs up from everyone here, but I expect some really good games coming out from tonight. But yeah, so our first map is Fisherman's Bay with Oil on the defense.
Yeah, so Fisherman's Bay. I don't know. It's certainly a it's a good pick for ATLUS. I've seen them run a 15 object 279 strat on Fisherman's Bay, and it works. So interesting they would pick it straight off the bat. Maybe they've got some really interesting ideas for Fisherman's Bay.
I from calling on Fisherman's Bay personally in my clan. I believe that map control. Sorry, not map control. Control of the mid. Is very is a key to try and get a high success rate on this map. From either side, really. If you can hold the center of the map and push the enemy teams back, then you'll be able to take control of the whole central of the map.
Indeed. So we don't have very much time. We've got 1 minute 30 until our first games. Um, Predictions, Mr. Ravi, for tonight.
So as much as I am a big fan of Atlas and how they play, I'm gonna have to give it to Oil tonight. Go 9-3. I reckon Atlas will pick off a couple of wins on their strong maps, either defending or attacking. But yeah, I'm gonna go 9-3 for Oil.
9-3. I'm a little bit more confident in ATLUS. I think Oil will certainly uh, stuff around for the first couple of games, underestimate ATLUS. And we've seen that as well in the games versus NA. So I reckon we'll see 9-4 to Oil.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I still think Oil is the stronger team, but 9-4, I think.
yeah. So Oil will definitely level up Atlas on how they play as a team, and then they'll judge how serious they take it by then. But I reckon, yeah, you're probably right. They'll take the first couple of games a little bit uh half seriousness, and then when they see that Atlas can actually make some plays, they'll probably ramp it all up to their full strength.
Yeah, so we don't have very long. We've got 10 seconds until our first game for tonight. But
Mm.
best of luck to both teams. I'm very keen to see what the fights are going to be like tonight.
Yes, so we just about to start off our first game, Atlas versus Oil on Fisherman's Bay with Oil on the defense.
Alrighty, so here we are in our first game of the night. Atlas on attack, Oil on defense. And already we got 279s joining the party. A lot of them coming in from Atlas. 907s, four of those, and EBR 105 and Niki on the Atlas side.
And then coming out from Oil, we've got 277s, five Chieftains, 597s, 2 EBRs, and a CGC coming out. So Oil definitely trying to play a little bit of a slow-paced game, trying to use their RD to work. And as you can see, Atlas probably going to use those 279s to dominate mid.
Indeed, and Oil rocking their brand new camouflage for this tournament. Bit of an oily camouflage.
Indeed. So as you see here, Aniki doing an aggressive run. They do spot the other EPR random. They see that there's a couple of tanks at the back of the map. The Chieftains from Oil are moving into the middle of the map. And I am wrong, Nate Palmer. The 279s aren't going to take middle. They're spreading up between the 8-9 line and at the back.
Yeah, this is very interesting. Atlas on the attack here, very spread out. It's almost typical to what they ran. Oh my goodness, there goes Aniki. The Oil players shutting down the EBR 105 on Atlas's side in the first minute of the game. That
Yeah,
is...
Aniki did a bit of bad driving there. He hit a bit of rubble and he went on his side for a little bit, so he lost all momentum then.
That is going to significantly disadvantage Atlas, but random style from the Oil side already on half HP.
Yeah, he's stuck.
Is he stuck?
Yes, he's on his.
Oh no.
mounted in the building.
Oh no.
Uh,
They've pushed him up, but unfortunately the EBR goes down. Oil still has one EBR left.
EBR.
Maybe not. Mindbreaker taking a lot of damage here. It's interesting, Atlas having the HP advantage here. Oil now losing half the HP on the EBR. And we're seeing a push coming in from Atlas from the city side. It would help if I actually clicked on the right tank. ST tank with Mori-chan and Neru here moving up through the 8-9 line into the city. And they're also pushing through the middle of the map at the same time. So Oil taking the 1-2. Atlas countering by pushing the 7-8. And really trying to fight for the middle of the map. As you said, it's an incredibly important part of this map.
Atlas are up 3.5k damage right now. They are using their 279's impressive frontal armor to try and take control of the middle of the map. As you see, Oil are doing a hard push down the 1-2 line, trying to clear out that corner, but there are two 279's from Atlas just digging in and making sure they don't lose that corner.
Indeed, but it's interesting as well, Oil not giving up the city entirely. Even though Neru and ST Tank are now making a push trying to take out Albert here in the 907, he is probably going to go down, but they're not abandoning this. They're really trying to make sure they don't lose map control.
No, Albert is down to 500. He's on the 200 now. Are they going to finish him off? Who's going to get the push from Atlas? Can't seem to get the shots in.
But the big difference here between both teams is that the Atlas folks, even though they have Angelina and Developer here defending the 1-2, they've got Capilano and Yamato providing fire support from the K7 sector, so they're able to defend a lot more effectively than Oil. And Oil now down a significant amount of HP, although Angelina caught from behind, Object 277 flanking. He's probably going to go down in the next couple of seconds.
Yeah, and Lexa's just nearly rocked up 3k damage in his Chieftain. As you just see, Showjack and Angelina do go down the 279Es from the K2 corner. So now Oil have taken control of that corner down there.
But look at this massive fight going on in the middle here. Object 279's down to 500 HP. Aggressive, pinned down by 4 Object 279s. Kicker coming in for the flank. Aggressive, going aggressive, trying to get a kill before he dies. And Kicker now going for Niyu. Almost secured the center entirely here.
Atlas are rotating hit points very well here. They've got a lot of tanks under 500 now. And they've got a couple of guys still on full hit points. I just scratched that. They've just lost all their hit points now. So it is very close still.
And we still have Yamato here, full HP, providing fire support from the back line. So a lot of the oil tanks that are now trying to move to recapture the middle are taking damage. But where did all the 279s go in the center?
They got caught in a crossfire. They just pushed too far through the city, and Oil still had people in the A2 corner and also the J2 corner, so they just got caught in a crossfire. The 97s at E2 were farming them as well when they turned their turrets.
Yeah, Atlas actually bleeding a lot of HP now, almost equalising the score with oil. This is not looking good for Atlas. They had the advantage here, but now with all these 279s dead, they've lost middle control, they've lost HP control, and they're now down HP. And oil, they don't have to do anything. They're on the defense. They can just sit here and wait for Atlas. And with Atlas running out of options in terms of healthy tanks, all their health are on 2 or 3 tanks. It's not really an easy way to break it, and without an EBR, they don't have vision. They have to really make a blind push, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Yamato Noob is moving up through the southern half of the map. He's going to take a little bit of damage moving up, trying to get some spotting here, but this is a problem with Atlas losing their EBR in the first minute of the game. They just don't have any intel.
No, they are. They've got going into this very blind. Plus, Atlas still Oil still have their Artie, so they can just play slow. Atlas can't take too long because if they get spotted, they're gonna bleed to Artie, and as you can see, Yamato might take a hit from Artie in a sec, waiting for the shot to come in. He's probably still aiming, in my opinion. No hit. The CGC is moving to a position to try and splash.
That was a painful hit. Yamato was not going to be happy with that.
There is not much that Atlas can do right now. Oil still have their EBR, and he's moving down their A line now to try and see if there's anything in that A8 corner. And there is still a 97 there, and it looks like that 97 may go down to the 97 in mid.
It's interesting as well, just looking how close the 907 and the EBR are between each other. The EBR moving up, trying to get spots, doesn't spot Neru here in the back corner. The EBR now making a break through the open. If Atlas can make an opportunity at play here through the northern half of the map, they might be able to do something.
Yamato has lost all of his hit points now. He's down to a one-shot, trying to make that aggressive push under the ridge. MIF just has nearly picked up 3,000 damage as well in his chieftain.
Atlas bleeding so much HP here. Mori-chan now moving up into the middle, trying to get supporting fire. Barbarian pinned down. Atlas trying to equalize HP. They really need to take control of the middle back here, but they're bleeding so hard. All tanks now less than 1,000 HP on the Atlas side. Mori-chan taking damage on the returning kill. Neru has now pushed north, taken out another tank, and is now working over the Conqueror gun carriage, and it's actually working out in Atlas's favor. That has officially taken out the Conqueror gun carriage.
But they're still down. They've got down to 1,000 HP for the entire team that are left. Everything's under 500 hit points. Mori-chan is down to a one-shot. Yamato Noob's down to a one-shot as well. So next shot, these guys are going to lose all their hit points.
Look out, Neru. Here comes Mindbreaker in the EBR, securing the kill. Atlas now down to 744 HP. This is not looking good. Oil, still on the defense here, has to only run down the clock, 2 minutes 40. They don't even have to do anything. They can just sit in the back of the corner here. Atlas do not have the HP to make any more plays. They're locked down, which is exactly what Oil wants.
I believe this is exactly what Oil was intending for, to play slow when it comes to the end phase of the game, where they can just slow the pace down and try and run the timeout and wait for Atlas to make a mistake. And this is what might happen. Desert and MIF might catch Yamato Noob out here.
They're absolutely going to try and catch him out. But maybe not. Desert missing his shot. Yamato picking up the kill. Oil is now throwing HP away. This is not looking as ideal as it originally was planned, but Myth taking out the kill with Yamato left. It's not as bad as it originally appeared, and it looks like Oil has officially secured the victory. Come on, Myth. Don't whiff. There we go.
We don't want
Myth
that.
with the whiff.
We don't want it to be a thing for the poor Oil players. Where Oil do take out game one. It was a very close game, and Oil used the arty very well. Played very slow to try and continue dominating the entire map as best they could.
Yeah, look, honestly, it looked like it was going both ways. ATLUS making the original aggression through the middle and securing it, but all that HP bleed not looking as promising. And I think it just comes down to the fact that ATLUS lost vision on early on. They lost the EBR, and it's not uncommon to see on Fisherman's Bay even running triple EBR to make sure you don't lose that. And with dying in the first minute, and Oil, even after the, I guess, dead EBR against the building, they still have a spare one, and they can just keep moving around, keeping the vision. Oil never seemed too worried, even after they lost the middle of the map.
Yeah, exactly. So with Anarchy going down early in the game, hitting as I said in the game, he hit a bit of rubble, went on his side for a little bit, lost no momentum, and the Oil Chieftains just picked him off. They couldn't do anything. Um, but yeah, we'll go through the post battle results here. ATLUS, Capelana picking up 3.2k damage in his 97, Niru picking up 2.8, and Yamato in his 97 picking up 2.3. And coming up from Oil's side, MIF picking up nearly 4k damage in his chief, and same with Kabaya. Kabaya.
Just having a bit of a technical difficulty. Apparently, I needed ammo in my spectator tank to be able to view the results. Continue.
That's handy. Yeah, Kapaya and his chieftain picked up 3.8 as well, and then Mindbreaker picked up 3k damage in this EBR. So obviously the chieftains and 97s did far more the hit points of the 279Es, but unfortunately, if Atlas didn't lose the EBR early on in the game, the results would have been different.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I think it came down to the fact that the EBR is just doing work. I mean, if you look at Mindbreaker, even though he wasn't doing spotting, he's still doing 3,000 damage, which is significant in this fight.
Yeah, he was just picking up the free shots that he had as much as he could. Um, and yeah, he's just making the EBR as best, like using the EBR as best as it can, where it doesn't need to be in the brawl. It just needs to be that pesky little light tank that has spaced armor as wheels, and just drive around the map trying to get vision out. And then when it has a free shot, it'll take the free shot, and then it'll keep moving.
Indeed, but now 0-1 to Oil. Not the promising star ATLUS expected, but potentially... we need to jump to the battle as well. Sorry, I just realised that.
I'm already readied up. I don't know about you.
No, I'm not. I've been too busy trying to talk about all the wonderful things that happened in that fight.
Yes, you're being told to ready up by the boss.
Yes.
So we've still got 2 minutes left. I just want to quickly say this. Throughout the whole series of games, we have bonus codes to give away. So if you do exclamation mark camo in chat, it will tell you exactly what the code will be. I'll be doing the a keyword throughout the stream. So um, please bear with me while we get through the codes. As we've only got 10 codes to go with, so we'll try and divvy them out as best we can throughout the series. So yeah. If you'd like to continue for a couple of minutes.
Sure, so how long do we have until our next fight? We have 1:30. Yeah, so honestly with that fight, I think it ultimately came down to, as we said, vision control, but I think bleeding came into effect quite a fair bit there. Oils really spread themselves out, they worked them over with artillery, and they said, you know what, you can have the middle of the map, that play is completely okay for us because we've got the tanks and the crossfire to back it up. And
I do
sorry,
agree there. Even though Atlas were very sent all their 279s into the middle of the map to try and dominate that, Oil were able to move down the 1-2 line, secure that corner, and they were able to hold the A2 corner as well. So that way, if as you saw there, Atlas made a push through the town. They overextended themselves and they were caught in a crossfire, trying to deal with the last few chieftains that were still on the edge of town from Oil.
and the major difference between the two teams, with Oil being on the defense, ATLUS not only has to win their side of the map, but they then have to push out to take the other quarter of the map. And this is just not possible when you bled this much HP in the mid game. So Oil were happy just to take the western side of the map and say, you know what, come and get us. So ultimately, it came down to ATLUS really needing to have HP, group up, and commit to a push almost even blind if they wanted to win that fight. Because it was just not going to happen otherwise. But enough rambling, I think we're right into our second game.
So we'll go through Alice's lineup here. So Alice has decided to go with 7 IS7s. I've never seen that before. They've got 5 chieftains as well, 2 9s7s. Decided to stick with 1 EBR. Hopefully Anarchy doesn't crash this time.
Indeed, and Oil sticking with the double EBRs this time. Double Conqueror gun carriage. A Leopard, a bit of an unusual play here. 3 Object 907s, 3 Chieftains, 2 279s, a 277, and an IS7. Quite a diversity coming in from Oil here.
So yeah, it'd be nice to see what these IS7s do, or where Alice is going to place these IS7s. So let's watch the mini map and see how that plays out. Meanwhile, let's have a look at Anarchy, see if he's going to do another spotting run. Hopefully not crash this time.
So we are spectating Aniki here. Already taking fire, moving up to the initial spot, but not running into any resistance. It's actually the Object 907 and the ridge at the back there that spotted him. And an interesting play by Oilia, the double EBR are blind pushing the 1-2 line, trying to flush out and see what's there, but unfortunately nothing is there. Atlas is completely grouped up and they're giving up the 1-2 line for free here.
So Alice has decided to blob their tanks in the middle of the map, try and use the turrets of the Chieftain and the IS7 to beat a hole down and play down that 6-7 line, because there's a nice little ridge there that they can play down. As you can see, the IS7s from Atlas are going to push through the town and try and clear out that 279 that's alone there, but I think Oil are rotating tanks across to support that 279E, because Oil must have seen what Atlas are doing right now.
Yeah, Oil has definitely figured out exactly where Atlas's tanks are. And it's interesting, Neru actually trying to go for the retake up in the north here, if I can find where Neru is. There we are. But the problem that Atlas has here is, again, vision. They don't know what's up on the 1-2 line. They know that Oil has captured it, but they don't know what else is there. Neru making quite a risky play here, trying to take out some EBRs. But we're missing all the action. The IS-7s have completely pushed down the southern half of the map. So Atlas securing the middle of the map and pushing down the 8-9. But Oil coming in with a solid defense here on the 6-7. Look at this, all these tanks side by side. Normally this would be a artillery target, but Atlas not bringing artillery have got no way to deal with this other than basically driving into these tanks. And Atlas bleeding so much HP, are now down 7,000. Not looking good for them at all.
This push from the IS-7 has been halted because these Chieftains, the 279 are they've got a nice little ridge in front of them to be held down on.
Whoa!
And it makes it very hard. Here comes out a Bombardiers battle from Bio B and the GC. Taking out 2 IS-7s that were on less than 200 hit points.
Atlas getting annihilated here. Now down 9,000, almost 10,000 HP here. Now losing center control. The only map control Atlas has now is the 1-2 line, but it's too little too late. This is not looking... This is a train wreck of a game for Atlas.
This push by Atlas seemed like a good idea at the start, trying to pick up the 279, but Oil picked on very quickly on what they were doing. They knew they were going to push their IS-7s into the back corner of the map, and they just got their Chieftains rotating across very quickly and got them hold down for that push.
Atlas going for the aggressive play, seeing the double artillery and thinking, okay, we can do this. But Oil proving an incredibly strong defense on the city side here, and just completely shut down that push, shut down the middle control. And because Atlas had nothing contesting 1-2 line, EBRs in the back line easily able to farm. It's just... it all went wrong so quickly.
I don't know if Atlas were taking no fear in this because of if they have slightly high ping, they just wanted to show Oil that they don't really care about the ping. They just want to have some good fast-paced games and really bring it to Oil. But I think they might have underestimated the ping there.
A ram kill coming in there.
Double ram kill?
Well, Oil finishing on 10,000 HP, a very strong gameplay, considering that the double Conqueror gun carriage, double light tank, effectively down a lot of HP from the get-go, but Oil just dominating the entire game. Like, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say from that. That was just... it was a train wreck of a game. Atlas had such good intentions. They knew they wanted to play aggressive. They knew they wanted to push through and just use the advantage of HP, but it didn't work.
No, I don't know if IS-7s were like the really good key there because the APCR has low pen. I believe it has 300mm of pen on its APCR. Do you correct me if I'm wrong?
About 311, I think. But definitely I would agree with that. An IS-7 is going to have a lot of difficulties penetrating a hull down chieftain, hull down 279, and also 907s in that corner. Potentially wasn't the best pick if you wanted to push City. Potentially a 260 would have been a better choice there, even a 277.
Mm. So it was maybe the low pen of the I7s really let Atlas down there when they made that push into that corner. Who knows? But we'll go through the battle results real quickly. We have 5 minutes before this next game starts, so we'll go through some details in this. So we'll go with Atlas's results. So Nero picking up 3.2k damage in his 907. Ridomath picking up 2.5k damage in his IS7, and then SD Tank in his 907 picking up 2.3. And then looking at Oil, Lexa picking up 3.8k in his 97, Aggressive in his IS7 picking up 3.4, and Near You in his Chieftain picking up 3.1. So if we look at the battle results quickly from Atlas, the IS7s were very had very low pen rates. So maybe the low APCR pen rate did make come be a factor in this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the thing is, as well, when you have the HP advantage, you need to make sure you're connecting your shots. Atlas having 3 tanks here on 0 damage, multiple tanks here under 1,000, whereas you look at the difference here with the oil side, all of them doing over 1,000, except for the concrete gun carriage here, but that was the second one. Like, the 2 artillery combined doing a respectable amount of damage, considering it was a very aggressive push coming in from Atlas and a very quick game as well. It was, what,
Yeah,
3 minutes
exactly.
40? That's a really quick game in terms of Fisherman's Bay.
Mm. So even though Atlas won the defense, they still wanted to be very aggressive. I don't know how aggressive they wanted to be, but well, on the defense, probably didn't be that aggressive, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's interesting. Atlas just not wanting to play campy. They wanted to try something, but I think Oil were just prepared.
Mm.
I think definitely against weaker clans, that strat absolutely would have caught people off guard. Especially if there was fog of war, because remember, both teams can see each other's lineups. They know, okay, Atlas is bringing a very heavy oriented lineup. They're going to push. So Oil can set up to anticipate that.
The rotate from Oil came pretty quickly as well. I'm guessing that had enough vision where the 279s were, and they knew where to rotate the chieftains back really quickly.
Indeed. But
Um, we got 3 minutes. Do you want to go through a strat sketch?
absolutely, have you got it set up?
Yes, I do.
Awesome. I will quickly swap us over to that. Go for it.
So we'll start with game one here. So Oil was on the defense. So let's start with there's 5 chieftains in the middle. There's 5 they had. 3 277s in this corner with 2 907s. The EBRs did a screen on each side, and they had their arty position in this corner. These are not exact positions; they're not exactly the right numbers, but this is an idea. So Oil sent their chieftains in mid, which is chieftains in mid are really good, a really strong tank to have in mid because obviously the strong turret it has and how well angled it is, and the cupola is very tiny to hit. So we know how strong they are in a hold down position. So all they had to do was just take control of mid, and once Oil killed their Atlas EBR, these EBRs were able to have free reign on whatever they did, and these EBRs pushed right down into here, into the G1 corner, got vision out, and noticed that there's little tanks in here and Atlas have rotated the 279Es into this low position down in here. And Atlas tried to make a push through this way and try and cut the map in half like this. So this is what Atlas' plan was. They were having tanks held back here, having 2 tanks held here, trying to deny Oil this corner because this corner on the map if you get in here and you have tanks push into this part, this position in J2 can shoot into there like have free farms pretty much. And that's what happened in the end. Oil took control of these 279s, they took out these 279s in this corner, and they were able to have free farms into the 279s from Alice pushing through the middle. And these chieftains just rotated around here, played hold down, and that was it. There's not much else you could do there. Um, but yeah, Oil's intent in that game was pretty much what was cutting the map in half. So I'll use a different color this time. They cut the map in half. So whatever they did, their intent was to take control of this corner as best they could because they knew this corner is very strong. If they have A3 or A2 and A3 and J2, then they can put a lot of pressure in this middle part of the map, and that's what they did, and that's what helped them slowly win out this game. Even though it was a very long game, Oil was on the defense; they were able to play it more freely. So yeah, and then I won't be able to go through this second game because we have 30 seconds.
Indeed. That time went past incredibly quickly. But with the score now 0-2 to Oil, Atlas really has to make a comeback here.
Yes, so we'll have to wait for these next ones. So we are on Cliff, I believe. Atlas are on the defense first. This is Oil's first map pick. So we'll get stuck right into it. Game three, Oil had the lead, 2-0, sorry, at the
2-0.
moment. Sorry, getting ahead of myself.
But we are in with this time on defense Atlas. Let me just sort that up. So Atlas, one. Actually, why are they grouped? That's weird. One EBR, double STB, one triple 907, 6 chieftains, 3 277s. A very aggressive play, but the double STB, that's a little bit interesting. Although, Oil, would you like to go over that? That's a very interesting lineup.
So Oil decided to go with 6 277s, 1 907, 5 STBs, and 3 EBRs. Now, I usually don't see more than 2 EBRs on this map. Mainly one EBR goes up the hill and the other one spots out the one line. But also Oil want to take control of all 3 flanks, and they're going to use the STBs to play the mid-ridge at E5 and E6. This is a very mobile lineup from Oil, and they're using the DPM of the STBs and 907s and the 277s, sorry, to try and punish any pushes that come through and create a heavy crossfire.
It's interesting, random style not committing to the hill here. They know most of Atlas's team is in the middle of the map here. Kicker trying to go out wide, take the dip, but he's taken a massive salvo. He's now on fire, and he is burning almost all his HP away. It's not looking good already for Atlas.
And I love what the EBRs from Oil have done right now. And look at this. Oil are really putting pressure on this middle part of the map. In the low side, they're using the 277's turret to be held down. Riddermath is stuck out. He's going to get punished for that.
But look at the double EBR in the south. They've just completely driven around. They're now farming. The tanks are on the ridge line there. Atlas caught in a weird position. They don't know where to go. They have to push on, but it's not favourable for them. Honestly, it's a very interesting strat by Oil, and I'm impressed with it.
Even though the hit points are still very close, there's like 1,000 hit points within it. But Oil just have the DPM right now, and they're just taking down all the HP from Atlas. All the heavy tanks that they have for HP is now gone because the DPM the STBs and the 277s have. Mainly the STBs are coming out. As you'll see, the Nipper and the 277 is taken down by the EBR. Next, it'll be Matcha, and now it will be Mori-chan.
The problem is here, if you look, Tuku and Rin on the northern side here are not in the fight. Mori-chan getting bullied by 4 tanks here, and Oil just shredding Atlas's HP. Not looking good. Atlas now down to less than 2,000 HP. Honestly, for such a light lineup on Cliff, Oil proving incredibly strong here.
I don't believe it'll be a light lineup. It's just more that you're using the DPM and the mobility of the STBs and 277s here, whereas the Chiefs are very slow. Even though they're good for hold down, once you get around them and actually get the guns turning away, their armor's really easy to penetrate.
I was referring more towards the triple EBR and bringing the double EBR all the way through the south, but Oil just showing a completely different style of gameplay to Fisherman's Bay. This game is just throwing down the gauntlet and just going in hard, and I don't think Atlas was ready for it at all. They were maybe expecting triple EBR going hill or something, but I think Atlas is just caught off guard. They had no idea where to go, what to do.
Yeah, the Oil sending the 2 BRs around the back of the map was very interesting. They really forced a push and more or less forced an error out from Atlas by making them push around like that, which was really, really handy for Oil. They just set up the gun line as Atlas pushed around. That was it. There was nothing they could do.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, the EBRs are just so quick. They get around the back of the cliff face, and they're just farming the tanks that are on the ridge. They can't go all the way up because there are tanks in the lower ground that can shoot. They're stuck on the road up to the top of the cliff, and then you've got double EBR coming around the back and just hammering tanks that have already been damaged. They had nowhere to go.
But the SDBs, they held that ramp on Cliff very well, and that was the key that really helped them with the crossfire. They had the 277s down low, SDBs up high, and they put pins at Atlas is pushing a crossfire.
Yeah, I don't know. It looked like such a weird strat from Oil, but it worked. And
Mm.
I I don't know whether it was hesitation by Atlas to push middle, but I definitely feel like it was uncoordinated at the very best. I feel like it was, oh dear, we've been flanked, we need to press W, and then half of them are just sort of hesitating, not really wanting to go, and then saying, well, where do we push to because there's tanks in front of us? It seemed uncoordinated, is what I'm trying to get at here.
Yeah. But now we've spoken about that, let's have a look at the post battle results for there. Let's have a look at how much damage was being outputted by those STBs. We'll have a look at Atlas first. Tuku and the Chieftain pick up 3.2k damage. Mori-chan and his Chieftain picking up 2.6, and Kiyoshi picking up 2.5 and his 277. And here we go, Random Style and his EBR picking up 3k damage. Holy Jesus.
And it was interesting,
It's
Random Style was actually the one on the hill, and I think it's purely because they took the hill and they had the tanks around the back punishing um, Atlas's tanks that were on the road to the hill, and so he is able to get up to the top for free, essentially, and just keep hammering away, because when you got that high ground, it's just constantly shooting. It's really hard to deal damage to a tank up the top there.
Yeah, considering how fast that game was, it was 2.5 minutes, picking up 3k damage in the EBI. That EBI doesn't have high DPM. It has like 9 or 10 second reload with improved equipment. So picking up that much damage in a short game is very impressive. Lexa and his 97 picking up 3k damage, and then Dilma and his STB picking up 3k damage as well, and a team kill. Denied of a Top Gun.
Look, what can I say? He was just maybe a little bit too motivated on the trigger there.
Hmm. But as you can see there from Oil, the STB is really playing a big factor in this. At least three of the five STBs picking up over 2k damage in those tanks. That DPM was really effective in that fight.
I just find it so curious by Atlas. They only had one tank on the 1-2 line, if I'm not mistaken. They had nothing in the rear, so the majority of their team was in the middle of the map, but I feel like even though they had the numbers advantage, they didn't exploit it. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that actually.
Because if you think about it, numbers-wise, right? So, Oil has 2 EBRs in the south, 1 on the ramp. They've got, I think, with a 277 on the 1 line, and likewise, Atlas has the same. So, effectively, Oil is down 2 tanks in the middle of the map, whereas Atlas has got their entire team, apart from 1 tank, in the center of the map. The only difference is that I think Oil took the higher ground, but Atlas just didn't take out tanks in the low ground. Maybe they sort of hesitated. I wasn't really paying too much attention. I was more watching the southern half of the map, and I'm now regretting that, but I feel like, at the very least, they should have been able to take out more, because it felt like even after they were pushing in, they were still down HP, which doesn't make sense considering that they had a heavier lineup. Sorry, I'm left you
I'm trying to think
speechless.
here. This is that's an interesting point. Like they've got the HP over. They had the more HP going to the push, but yeah, I think the initial crossfire they had with the STBs and 277s punished that from when the brawl came. But here we go. We need to stop talking about that. Go into the next game. Holy hell, it's gone so quick.
We do, and I forgot to change the camouflage over. So this time, both teams are making a bit of a doppelganger move here. But would you like to do lineups quickly?
Yep,
While I try and sort this?
Sorry, so from Atlas, they've got an S-Conk, 5 Chieftains, 6 97s, 2 STBs, and an EBR. Meanwhile, Oil have 5 277s at 97, 6 STBs, a T95 E6, and 2 EBRs. So again, Oil sticking with the DPM lineups. I reckon they're going to do something similar to what they did in the first game. With the STBs and the 277s, it's really put pressure on that mid.
Yeah, it's interesting as well. Both teams are now opting for a more medium-focused lineup, potentially trying to brawl middle. Curious here, Atlas not sending anything to the 1-2 line at all, just sending the entire team to the middle of the map. And Net here with the wrong camouflage. I apologize for that. Having a juke out here with random style, looking for that opportunity to get to the top of the hill. And I think he's now got it. Now the entire team's here. But look at this. Here comes the massive fight. And I want to watch this from overhead. This is going to be absolutely incredible. Here we go. So Kayoshi, Nipa, Yamato Noob pushing through. Interesting here, ignoring the blob of oil tanks, pushing onwards. The STB-1s are now on the higher ground here. Yamato Noob, Kicker now pushing onto buildings, getting crossfire on the rear of the heavy tank blob, forcing oil into an unfavorable position. And it looks like Atlas is winning the hill as well here.
So what Atlas has done, they've used their chieftains to play the middle part of the ridge there, and used the 97s to push out and dig out any tanks there. And they put a little bit of pressure with the STBs on the middle of the map. And as you can see there, they've completely lost the mid part. So now they're going to wrap around and farm the tanks there. You got Lexa and the 97 just farming Atlas on the side. There was a lot of low hit point tanks coming out from Atlas there. You got Cafe Lana and the STB on a one shot. Yamato Noob is in a nice hold down position there, trying to deal with Lexa and the 97.
But again, the question is, where did the HP go? Atlas having the hill advantage here, Atlas having the crossfire. It just all evaporated. Where did it go? Atlas looking so strong in the early game. It's all gone wrong.
Atlas did have the favourable positions, and they made the right push there by getting the 97s pushing out and using the chieftains to hold that middle part of the map. But when they did the re-push into the middle of the map, it just died. They lost all their points on the re-push.
Yeah, it's interesting. Oil within a very unfavorable position. They can't push forward without taking damage, but yet they're still hugging the middle of it and avoiding fire. So I almost feel like Atlas pushing on was a mistake here.
Yeah, it may have been a bit of a mistake, but they might have seen the overmatch coming in from the mid, but they had 97s at E3 and F3 setting up for crossfire to get rid of any low hit point tanks that were at the back of the pack, which is unfortunate.
The other thing there, note here as well, Atlas giving up the 1-2 line for free means that a tank can come up onto Echo 3 and farm the tanks on the hill, provided they are spotted, quite easily. So I think, even though I wasn't paying attention to that specific instance, I believe that's what's happened here.
But yeah, well, that was another quick game coming out right then and there. Ooh, wonder if that beats 2 minutes 30.
Cliff, always known for its aggressive fights in the center of the map, and not disappointing today.
No, Cliff has always been the ones where the brawl is always in the middle of the map, and whoever has the better focus fire really dominates. Sometimes has a better positioning as well, but generally the focus fire and the push is what is key there. We'll have a look at the post battle results there. Matcha in his super comp pick up 3.6k damage there. Yamato Noob in his 907 picking up 3k damage, and Nero picking up 3k damage in his 907 as well. Coming out from Oil, the SDB picking up 3.7k damage. Albert in his 277 picking up 3.3k damage as well, and Lexa in his 97 picking up 3.2. So the damage spread is pretty even coming out from Oil this time. The SDBs got absolutely wrecked on that push through. So they really had to rely on the 277s to get the output of the damage now.
You're in? Yep, sweet.
So yeah. Well, we now have 5 minutes on the clock. I'm going to quickly do a code. Would you like to get up the strat sketch and I'll go through the next map?
Sure, we can do that. 1 second. Yep, you're all good, mate. Go for it.
All right, sweet. So we'll take a look at the first game here from Cliff, where Oil was on the defense. It was an interesting lineup, as you say, with Oil looking like to be like running like as you would say a light lineup, but in reality, running three BRs doesn't seem very normal on Atlas. So as you see, they had one EBR go hill. Let me just put that on. So they had one EBR go hill, and then two EBRs come around the side here, and the two EBRs came around into here, into these set of buildings, and then they had the SDBs play the ramp along here, and then they had the 277s play all down in here. And then with Atlas, they had their chieftains play up high into here. Their two STBs play the ramp, and then their 907s were pushing in with the back here. So as you can see that the EBR that was from Alice came off the hill to deal with these two EBRs. He kept them busy as long as he could, but these two EBRs, once they got him and started putting pressure in the back of these chieftains, they lost all their they started losing hit points, and they had to realize that they need to make a push. And Alice made the push into here. And since that they had a lot of STBs playing up on this center part of the cliff, playing the ramp, they were able to get up on this ramp and shoot down on them, and they lost all their hit points coming into the crossfire in here. So in this section in here, in this green circle, sorry, this is where Alice pretty much lost all their hit points because of the STBs. The STBs were managed to wrap around, push down these two STBs, take them out, and then they had free farm along here, and Alice were just caught in a crossfire. They got stuck in here, all these tanks just wrapped around, and it was pretty much GG in the end there. So really nicely done by Oil to force a play out from Atlas there. Um, Oil wanted a push to come out into them. They had the crossfire and the gun line there ready for it, and they just got punished. And then for Atlas, they did something similar again on the defense though. They had Chieftains here and a Super Conk there, two 7.7s playing low, with two STBs on the ramp, and then they had one EBR playing the hill. And Oil did something very similar to what they did on when they were defending. They had the STBs play the ramp here. They had 107 down the one line who eventually wrapped up and came into this position here, or who I moved there now. And then their two 7.7s played the low part. And this time, Atlas made a push coming through here. Whoops. They made a push coming through here with their 97s to take out the STBs. They got in, the 97s pushed into here, got into these set of buildings down in this section in here. Sorry, wrong color. I always do this.
It's all right.
Push down these buildings here, because when you push down these buildings, you're in here. You're out of the crossfire. You're out of the guns of this. And since they were in here, able to deal with the STBs very quickly, and this is where I thought Atlas have won this game. They really had taken this one. They had the bag and they had the crossfire on this, and these guys were safe because these chieftains ended up moving into this center part of cliff to play hold down and to try and stop a counter push coming in from Oil. But Oil were able to wrap around these chieftains and just put crossfires in. This 97 was picking up any low hit point stragglers at the back of the pack, and that was pretty much about it. Um,
It's again a case of Atlas having the numbers, but somehow just losing so much HP. Potentially it's a focus fire thing. Potentially it's people not penetrating their shots because of ping. It's hard to say without looking at replays. But speaking of which, I need to put mine on. I've completely forgotten about that. But honestly, it's quite a curious thing of Atlas just having a better position, arguably, and having the numbers, but still not executing it fully. So it's perplexing to say the least.
So it's interesting how Oil have decided they use DPM in those lineups. So okay then. Sorry, I need to redraw that. Never mind.
All right.
Sorry, someone got timed out, and he won the code. My bad. But yeah, like Oil, they're using the DPM to really catch out a push that comes out, like forcing forcing an error really, and they're just really getting the DPM of tanks to pick it, like getting really to like just punish Atlas on their push. That's pretty much about it.
Indeed, but if you want to finish up that code, I'll talk about our next match, which is under a minute away. Himmelsdorf. Atlas, interesting, has been known for very, very heavy lineups in Himmelsdorf. It's a map that I find they've actually done reasonably well. I believe they took out a game against Devi last time they played on Himmelsdorf, and I'm curious to see if they can do the same against Oil. So with Himmelsdorf, Oil on the defense first, Atlas second, and I'm expecting a lot of heavies here. Potentially not building the wall, but with the familiar theme of Himmelsdorf, I think it's time we get into the game.
So let's have a look here. Well, ATLUS running in the usual lineup with 350Bs, 4 279Es, 8 chieftains, and a bat chat.
Yes, and I appear to have gotten... This is unusual. I've got the camouflage mixed up again. I don't know what's going on here. Would you mind talking about the other team while I quickly try and sort this?
No, that's right. So coming out from Oil as well, we got a 60 TP. That's interesting. 50Bs as well, a 279E, 8 chieftains as well, a bat check, G6 V4. So interesting lineup here coming out from Oil using a 60 TP. The heat panel of the 60 TP is only 310, so it's going to be very interesting to deal damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Hang on, I'm confused. Sorry, would you mind just picking up for a second here? I think I've got an observer mod issue.
That's right. So as we see here, Oil have decided to take an aggressive position for their chieftains, taking the courtyard, really pushing, trying to clear out anything in the D line, and they've done that successfully. ATLUS are taking very defensive positions, but even though they're on the attack, are they? Yeah. Oil are on the defense, and they're taking map control straight away. They got the back set up on the hill, really making sure there's nothing on the hill. They got the 50Bs coming up now. ATLUS are pushing their 50Bs up on the hill now with the chieftain. So let's see how this play comes out now. As you can see that they've got all 3 chieftains, all 3 50Bs and a chieftain up there, and they're going to potentially clip out all these 50Bs that are up here. Random style and can't say that name. I don't know how to pronounce that.
That's alright. I'll pick it up.
All good now?
Yeah, we're good. So Kyoshi here dueling with 50Bs. ATLUS hesitating on the push here. It's only 2 50Bs here. And granted they have one in the back line, but very hesitant on the play here. Double 50B running away. But Oil now already pushing through the middle of the map, making plays onto the base already. Oil not mucking around here at all. Just plowing their way through, charging behind Miki here. And ATLUS just losing HP left, right, and center. Oil not mucking around at all.
No, they aren't. They aren't mucking around at all. They're pushing straight into the base of ATLUS. Even though they're on the defense, they're really putting the pressure on ATLUS and trying to get them to make a move and make a push from somewhere. Oil have got all their tanks at ATLUS's base. Look at that. All their chieftains are blobbed into A7 and A8 now.
And only now has ATLUS finally secured the hill, committing so much onto the hill here, but not securing it until now is a massive disadvantage for them. ATLUS down 10,000 HP here. It is just pain after pain after pain coming in here. And not looking good at all. ATLUS is having a really rough time tonight.
The push coming out from Oil here was really aggressive, and it really put ATLUS in a difficult position where ATLUS took quite a while to take out these 50Bs on the hill. Even with the chieftain up there, they still took forever. And Barbarian just giving a bit of a salute to Kyoshi there, well, before he kills him. Yeah. So that was another fast-paced game there. So looks like Oil are picking up the pace with how they play now. They're bringing out some aggressive strats, taking map control and pushing the enemy back into their corner. And that's what they did successfully on this map.
And I think this has definitely caught ATLUS off guard. I know for a fact that ATLUS prefers to play a lot slower, a lot more carefully, you know, picking key points of the map, but Oil just pressing W, taking the entire map off them, and not bleeding in the process. Before ATLUS had even secured the hill, or even thought about securing the hill, Oil was already clear of the courtyard and just attacking the base, and ATLUS again feel like they're just caught out, don't know what to do, and what can I say? Well played to Oil. Probably the fastest Himmelsdorf game I have ever seen from the Southspawn. Yeah, I don't know what to say.
I don't know what to say either. Like, that was a very fast-paced game. Like, it all happened so quick. Well, whew, I don't know what to say with that. But I know what I can say. We can go see the post-battle results for that.
Indeed, and I apologise. The Observer mod had a slight issue where it reverted the teams across when we changed maps, so that was the issue we had with the camouflage there. I do apologise for that.
That's right. So we'll start off with ATLUS again. Nipper and his 50B picking up 3.3k damage there. Nero and his chieftain picking up 3k damage as well. Anarchy and his 50B picking up 2.5. So very well done with the 50Bs there, but they were very that heal push was very slow. But yeah, so we'll look at Oil's team. Sorry, the damage now. Sorry. Dilma and his chieftain picking up 3.3k damage as well. The Barbarian and his chieftain picking up 3k, and Dema and his chieftain picking up 2.8. So the chieftains from Oil were the ones that really dishing out the damage in that fight. Obviously, they were the ones that were very aggressive and pushed very fast into Atlas's base and just putting a lot of pressure on straight away.
Yeah, honestly, it's very non-Asia meta, you know? It almost feels like the sort of strats we would see back in Wargaming League were just amplified on a bigger level, you know?
Mm. Like micro positioning was always a big thing in WGL, and obviously taking control, even having one tank in a position to take control of a part of the map was a threat in WGL. And as you can see in this, you've got 15 tanks to use in these games, and obviously a lot of these players have WGL experience, so they know what positions they need to be in. But it's also the fact that we've never seen what the CIS region, what kind of play style they play and how well they play with this play style. As you can see, it's very fast. It's very map control, and it's all about punishing the opponent when they make a bad play. And that's what we're seeing right now with Oil, where they're punishing Atlas for a bad play, and which is this bad play was sending an extra tank to the hill to deal with the 350Bs.
Yeah, the thing is, I feel like Atlas had an initial plan, but before they could react, Oil already had 3/4 of the map.
Mm.
And I feel that in the Atlas comms, they would probably be focusing on trying to get the hill, and the players saying, no, we can't do that. There's 350Bs there. We're going to die if we push. And sort of a miscommunication, and people, it's the hesitation again. Meanwhile, the Oil players are just rush B. I hate to make the joke, but it's a rush B tactic. They're just slamming all their tanks straight into the base, and before Atlas even has a chance to react, they're already on the cap. They're already taking out tanks left, right, and center. And I really feel like this is something that we see. We're seeing a pattern with Oil here. We're seeing that Oil just wants to just slam as many tanks as they can into an aggressive position, and I think it's really throwing Atlas off. For those who don't normally play on the Asia server and don't know our meta is often much more slower. Games taking at minimum 5 minutes. I think it's honestly throwing the Atlas guys off.
Yeah, I think Atlas they're not used to this how fast this playstyle is. A lot of the Oil players they're very skillful players.
Absolutely.
Very well hammered on what they want to do, and it feels like they already have like a step 2 and 3 when it comes to the initial part of the game. When they see tank spotted, they are making a decision like they're making a next phase in their strat, saying, "All right, we need to push here because they're doing this sort of thing." So they're using their knowledge as best they can to try and take positions on that quicker, really quickly. That way, they don't have to do it later in the game. And we've only got 10 seconds before our next game, so
Ready to get
we
stuck
will.
into some more Himmelsdorf gameplay?
Yes. So this time it is 5-0.
5-0 to Atlas. Not looking good, but still an opportunity. The dream is still alive.
Oh, here we go.
Oh no.
Here we go, fellas.
Oh
This is
my
entertainment.
goodness.
So we won't touch on Oil's lineup here. We'll go with Atlas. Atlas have done 250Bs, not 8 279Es, 3 chieftains, and a bat chan. And Oil, they've done 14 60 TPs and 1 lone chieftain.
I don't know what to say here. Atlas, how much HE are they loading? I'm very curious. Can we find a player who's...
Yep.
Hang on, control. There we
So
go.
we can't look at the ammo layouts for oil, sadly, because they aren't running the mod that lets us. But yeah, so we have a look with the initial lineup. So ATLUS, they're running the 279Es mainly down the 3 line to get some early vision and try and get some free farms off. And Oil are just splitting their 60 GPs everywhere across the map. Everywhere.
I've had a slight issue, but we sorted it now. So ATLUS actually is the one here bringing all the 279s. Oil bringing the main lineup of the 60 TPs. And ATLUS already playing aggressive. I think Oil wanted to have a little bit of fun here, just trying to bring a meme lineup and see if ATLUS can actually deal with that. And ATLUS showing aggression for one of the first times in this game. It honestly feels like the opposite. It feels like both teams have swapped playstyles here.
And Mickey just takes a huge amount of damage from the HE rounds coming out from the 60 TP in T6. Holy hell. And the aggressive sets Kicker on fire. Kicker's going to burn to death.
But here comes the
Still alive.
push here through the 2-3 line. Matcha taking out the first kill off the game. And the 279 blob is now pushing their way through Delta line. And it looks like a pretty even fight here on the hill.
ATLUS are now down nearly 9k damage now. This is not really going well for them. They nearly start getting some kills and get some damage out with the 279Es. They're just losing hit points really quickly.
50B is doing damage on the hill, but Neru down to one shot. Neru now goes down. Even with a meme lineup, Oil is just proving incredibly strong. I think the ATLUS guys are certainly going to be annoyed from this. And the oil players are now pushing on after the 50B. 50B is on reload, running away. And 6,000 HP down. ATLUS, I don't know where it's gone wrong.
Oil have now uploaded heat now to deal with these 279Es, but ATLUS have brought it back a little bit to 7k damage. But they can't get the damage out. They're bouncing a lot of shots, I'm seeing, into the 60 TPs with the 279Es. This is not going very well for ATLUS.
Yeah, look, honestly, I think it's come down to, and this is another bad trend that we've seen happen tonight, ATLUS players just bleeding HP. I think, like, as you mentioned, one of the 279s lost almost 1,000 HP to a HE salvo. Potentially the HE damage coming in early is what's really cost ATLUS. Considering they got a free pick on the 1-2 line, and they were then moving in, I feel like they should have... It's the same story again. They have the HP, they have the numbers, but just magic occurs, and all of a sudden the HP is down. You know, it almost feels like Oil has just got a stopwatch and says, right, everyone just stop everything, let me shoot you for about 3 seconds, and then we can start the game again, you know?
Yeah, so there was... I think for that game, ping was a very huge factor because I was seeing a lot of bounce shots in close combat, and that's really what affected the brawl there for ATLUS. And one of the guys, 3K, he actually doesn't have the oil underscore before his name. Unfortunately, weirdly, he has it after his name. But anyway, so yeah, that was a very interesting fight there coming out from ATLUS. Oh, sorry, coming out from Oil. Even though they had 1460 TPs, they still came out on top with 12k hit points left for the team. So
Yeah, certainly not the result we were expecting for such a meme lineup, and I apologize again for the observer issues we're having. It's weird. I'm getting weird bugs with it. But I think Oil now is taking it a lot less seriously. So potentially we could get some really unusual lineups from here on in. I would like to see ATLUS get a win. I'm sort of like, as my own server, I would like to see these guys pull even one win, but even with meme lineups, Oil proving incredibly strong.
most certainly. But yeah, we we probably better go through the post battle results there before we forget.
Yep. So before we go any further as well, shall we update the score? So the score is now, because I haven't updated the score since the beginning of the game. The score is now
It's 6-0.
0-6 to Oil.
Yes.
It is a very very interesting result. I will say that. I don't think Atlas were quite expecting to be beaten this badly, but we still have another 3 games before Oil emerges victorious overall. So, post
Hmm.
game stats you mentioned.
Yes, so we'll start with Atlas again. Matcha in his 2790, picking up 3k damage. Yuhei in his 2790, picking up 2.5 as well. And Cape Lana in his 50B, picking up 2.5 as well. Coming out from Oil Aggressive in his 60 TP, picking up 4.4k damage. Dilmar in his 60 TP, picking up 3.8. And the Barbarian in his Chieftain, picking up 3.6k damage. And you can see that the 60 TP damage spread was very on point there with Oil. And so, yeah. Well, we've got 3 minutes. Shall we go through the first game of Himmelsdorf? I don't think we need to touch on the second one.
No, but yeah, sure. Have you got the strat sketch up ready to go?
It's already.
Awesome. Radio, take it away, Mr. Ravi.
So it was very interesting to see. Even though Oil won the defense, they still played very aggressive in their lineup, and it was very interesting to see on what they did. Um, I'm just getting it. I'm just getting tank position sorted quickly before we keep going. Um, So where were we? We had tanks here, tanks there, tanks there, tanks there. All right. So as you can see here, we had the 350Bs and a chieftain from Atlas pushing up on the hill to deal with these 350Bs. This part of the fight took forever. Once Oil spotted this push coming up, they immediately grouped up all their tanks and pushed down through this part of the map, cleaned out A4, and they're able to push around and blob all their tanks in this section of the map here. And it was very quick on how quick they did it. These tanks were like already here rotating when they got the spots here. So it was very quick on the rotation from Oil. And they made this push into Atlas's base very swift. Um, and it was very interesting to see how even though Atlas were on the attack, it seemed like they were on the defense. They would I don't know why they decided to place the defensive. Um, but yeah, Oil really just took control of the map straight away. First part of the map. This is literally what they had for map control. That's what they had. Controlled this whole section of the map. That was theirs, and they pretty much locked Atlas in this one corner. There was not much they could do. They had the corridors for crossfires on Atlas's tanks. There wasn't much that Atlas could do, and unfortunately, it was just a bit slow for Atlas to react. But yeah, that was my take on that game, the first game.
Yeah. Um, how long do we have? Have we got about a minute? If you would like to discuss anything else, are you done with the strat sketch?
Yep. I am just currently doing a code.
Sure. I am currently trying to figure out what the issue with the observer mod is here. We've had a couple of issues tonight with putting the wrong teams, so actually assigning the teams the opposite and assigning the counters the opposite, even though it should be correct. So a little bit curious to see exactly whether that's the right way around or not. I do apologize for technical issues here, folks.
That's
But our next map, we don't have a very long, 45 seconds.
on Sand River.
Yes, Sand River. And on defense, first up is ATLUS. And with 0-6, I'm curious to see if ATLUS is going to do any sort of serious strats here, or whether they're done. They want to run memes. And speaking of memes, are Oil going to run something silly? Could we see 15 EBRs? I would love to see 15 EBRs here.
It'd be very interesting to see what Oil do bring out on this map. I reckon they'll bring out another meme lineup, and this time might be a little bit less heavy, let's say. But yeah, we're about to go into our seventh game. Oil are up 6-0. Oil are on the attack, and have a look at this lineup. Ooh, damn! Atlas are running 10 chieftains, 297s, 2 EBRs, and a CGC, while Oil are running 10 Kranvagns, 4 Udezes, and a strip. They're going with a whole Swedish lineup. Let's go.
It's the Swedish special coming in from Oil here. Unfortunately, no Swedish artillery in the game yet. Soon TM, but ATLUS with the CGC here might prove to be the advantage. Sand River being a map that's known for much more campy games, so very curious to see exactly how this plays out. Oil not running any light tanks as well, because unfortunately there are no Swedish light tanks yet. Soon TM, maybe.
What do you know about the Strew's a light tank, isn't it?
Oh, I don't think it'd beat the EBR in a race, I'll say that.
So as you can see, Angelina and Annette in the EBRs can play very aggressive in their spotting run here. You can see that they're going to go all the way down into J2 and J3 in the EBRs to try and get early vision onto Oil's tanks. As you can see that they only spot one tank, which is Udez. There we go, there's a couple more there. As you can see that Oil are sending all their hold down tanks into K1 corner, using the turrets of the Kranvagn and the Udez very nicely. They did send one Udez to the middle of the map and another one to D7.
Speaking of Udez, quite an interesting choice to bring a couple of them, even one of them going south, which is interesting. Understandable to have one in the middle and one in the north, but having a couple of Udez in the south as well, that's quite an interesting play. Potentially there's a reason for it. Maybe it's a view range thing? I'm not quite sure.
But yeah, I'm interested to see this clip potential coming out from these Kranvagns into the Chieftains coming out here. Tuku pushing up very aggressive there. Getting punished by the hold down Kranvagns. Kranvagns are taking a lot of damage. Tuku's going to get taken out in a second. And there he goes. First kill, go to Kapat.
Absolutely, and look at ATLUS here, really like playing defensive. This is the ATLUS we know. Just bunkering down, using artillery, trying to bleed. Oil pushing up very aggressively here. The thing is though, they will be spotted and artillery will be working them over, but ATLUS is down 1000 HP at the moment.
ATLUS are trying to get ATLUS and the CGC to work a lot in this and trying to keep vision as best they can. One EBR is up north and the other EBR is just doing runs through the north as well. They really need one more EBR down south.
But look at this rotation we're seeing. Tanks now rotating through the middle of the map here. I don't know how to pronounce this Kranvagn's name, but we're seeing Kranvagns now pushing through the middle of the map. And interesting as well, the Kranvagn is actually running a gun laying drive. Not the choice that I would have picked, but it's certainly curious, and it seems to be working. Kika now caught out in the crossfire as he's crossing to the open. ATLUS now pinned down in his artillery, and Oil just asserting map dominance. Meanwhile, the ATLUS folks, they've got Chieftains up in the north, they've got 907s up in the north. I feel like they're just out of the fight. The Kranvagn from Oil just pushing straight in, and again, just asserting dominance in the base. This is... Look at Diffie here in the Kranvagn, just... Even with multiple tanks known in this position, he's still just pushing straight in.
ATLUS really did get caught out in this push by Oil. They didn't spot the push coming in until they were right into HA. That was a very massive downside to having two EBRs. They needed one EBR to stay south to spot that push.
And Nero taking massive damage here in the north. That one player ATLUS has trying to do a counter push to the north is already being shut down. Angelina here taking damage, pushing over into the Udez, and it feels like Oil is just dominating everywhere. They're holding the north, they're attacking the south, they've got crossfire in the middle. Where's it all gone wrong?
Oil are up 3k damage now, sorry. And Rin and his teams are getting punished for that overpeak, and now he's going to die to MIF in the Kranvagn. MIF misses his last shot, so unfortunately that doesn't come through.
I almost feel like ATLUS here has to make an aggressive EBR play, just charging straight into the base. If they can get an opening, they might be able to do something here, but unfortunately, they're just caught out here. The Udez Dimmer are pushing over the top. EBR is caught out, random style, and the Kranvagn pushing over, and the North Controller just slipping away from ATLUS here. Even with meme lineups, Oil is just dominating.
Yeah, even running slightly non-meta tanks in these games, Oil are definitely using the knowledge of these tanks and not knowledge of these maps to their advantage to try and put these tanks in the right positions and catch tanks off guard.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look at the HP. The oil folks are just, they seem to be sharing it so well. They're all just less than 1,000, but they're alive. I almost feel like Atlas needed to make a counterplay in the south here rather than the north. I think that's what's really cost them this game. But
Mm.
0-7 now to oil. And a bit of
So
team killing.
and a bit of team killing.
Best kind of team killing.
So only Atlas have only got two more games left before they can try and pick a game off from Oil, and I don't know how much more Oil can run slightly meme lineups now. So what's going to happen now?
I don't know. I would not want to be in the Discord TeamSpeak that Atlas is using right now. I think tensions would be pretty high. The fact that they're trying to run their serious lineups and they're just getting outplayed by a really, really good clan.
Mm. But I think out of all this, Atlas can, it's like when they versed Devi about a month ago, I think it was. I believe they would have learned quite a bit from those clans, and I reckon they can do the same thing from Oil, and that's probably a positive thing that they can take out of this. Go back through these replays at the end and really review on everything that happened. Look at how different Oil played. Um, but yeah, we'll quickly go through the post battle results and before we get into game 8 on Sand River.
Yep, I'll just quickly update the score. So the score is now 0-7 to
Hmm.
oil. Not looking good for Atlas. Maybe one win on the board, please. Please.
Maybe. So Rin and the Chieftain picking up 2.6k damage. Yuhei and his Chieftain picking up 2.3, and Kika and his Chieftain picking up 2.2. And then Dema and the Udes picking up the Udes 15, 16, I should say, picking up 4k damage. Dilma and his Udes picking up 3k, but nearly had a Top Gun. And Lexo and his Karnvan and Aggressive Oil, actually, in the Striv, picking up exactly the same damage, 2.7k damage. So, whew, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't understand. Like, the Udes is not considered a good tank, and yet so many chieftains on the Atlas side. I feel like with that many tanks that are autoloaded, so they will be on reload, I just feel like they could have done something. It felt like the only play that Atlas had here was the North. But even then, it was late, it wasn't executed well, and it felt like they were trapped.
Each of those crime banks had a 20 clip potential there. And when you had 10 of them in a gun line, there's over 13k damage being outputted there. And you'll also think that the crime banks, they have like a 20-second reload, if I'm correct. Their
I'm not 100% sure on that.
I believe their reload is quite quick these days
It was
with the buff.
changed. So it used to be a 4 shot, now it's a 3 shot with I think it's like 20-25 second reload. I can check mine in the garage here. Actually, no, I can't because I'm ready up as a spectator, but that's alright. Yeah, it's certainly not like a 50B, for instance, where the reload is substantial and okay, it's on reload, we can push it aggressive now. But I almost feel like with such weird lineups, Atlas is just floundering. They don't know how to play it, you know?
Hmm.
Like running into the 60 TPs in Himmelsdorf firing high explosive, they're still poking like normal and they're taking damage. And likewise with this, they're expecting they can just try and out trade Kranwagens at point blank range. They have got clips. It's just not going to happen. And I feel like
No.
the Kranwagens didn't take enough damage when they pushed. Atlas had so much early information. They had double EBR. They knew where all the tanks were coming from. But did they set up for it? I don't think they did. I don't think they punished that initial push enough, and I don't think they counter pushed it. I feel as if ATLUS just wasn't prepared for what they'd spotted, you know?
Yeah, it feels like Atlas just let Oil push into their base and get the positions that Oil needed to dig out the camp from Atlas. That's pretty much what it was. That's what they did.
Yeah,
Um,
I definitely think it's, again, like, the reactions are slow.
mm,
The Oil guys are just not hesitating. It's just action in the first couple of minutes of the game, whereas the ATLUS guys are playing slower, and it's, I don't know, maybe this is the meta clash that we're seeing here. I definitely feel like ATLUS has got a lot to learn here on what sort of aggressive strats they can do to catch people off guard. I've certainly got a lot of inspiration here. Hey, if you can run that many Kranwagen on the Sand River and get away with it against chieftains, I certainly would like to give that a go sometime.
I'd say it's a massive thumbs up to whoever does that against me in a Clan Wars game. And here, oh, here we go. Game 8 on Sand River. This time, Oil on the defense and Atlas on the attack. So Atlas decided to run 2 279Es, 5 Chieftains, 6 97s, and EBM CGC, while Oil have decided to run 15 STBs.
15 STPs. Oh no. Well, what can I say? It's a decent choice for this map. Reasonably mobile, good gun depression, great DPM. It could work. It should work.
And I would like to point out that Oil are 400 damage at the start of this battle, even with all STBs.
And they're tracking each other.
They're doing a little bit of team damage here to try and give. There we go. Now the hit points are tied.
They're just trying to make it a fair fight, and that's completely understandable.
Yeah. They don't want the series to end quite quickly.
I'm seeing a lot of friendly fire coming through here.
Are they going to get banned for this?
I don't know, but look, maybe this might be a meta thing on the Russian server. One of the STBs.
Because that's what's going on here.
Oh, 200 IQ plays. I think the STB here has quit. Maybe he's DC'd and they're doing a bit of friendly fire, but...
Maybe. As we see, we have Oil pushing all their STBs down into the K2 corner, while ATLUS have done something similar with their Chieftains, pushing the Chieftains down into the J1 and getting them hold down. They've got the 907 sitting back, one Chieftain holding base, a 907 holding base as well, and the EBR's just getting vision up north. So this is where we can see the STB is in position here, up against Chieftains, and see who will come out on top here.
But look out, here comes a massive push. We're now in the perspective of a Kyoshi here in the Object 279, watching him aiming, and I can only imagine how intimidating it would be having that many tanks popping up in front of you. But the SDB-1, not having the strongest turret, are actually taking a lot of damage here in the hold-down trades. And this is actually quite favourable for ATLUS, even with the whole team killing thing going on here. Look, ATLUS, they're pushing in. They're really quite confident that they can win this fight, and honestly, I would agree with them. Although, it certainly feels like they're not executing it well. Like, they're just letting these tanks escape through the north, and they're bleeding so much HP. It's again a badly executed push.
Feels like ATLUS just weren't doing the focus fire quite well enough compared to Oil. Like Oil, even though they had all the tanks, they had a crossfire set up, and Oil with focus fire was just much more impressive than ATLUS's.
Yeah, look, I don't know what it is with ATLUS. I really think that they're just not coordinated. They're saying, okay, we can take this push, let's do it. And it's just, hoorah, charge in. And even though the STBs are in a bad position, they still manage to live. And they're managing to do damage. And I look, other times this has happened, I could somewhat pull a reason that, okay, this happened because of this event. This game, I'm lost for words. I don't know what's going on with ATLUS. They have meta tanks. They have HP advantage because of the team killing. They have a better position. They farm initial damage. They push over aggressively. But it's still a loss. And my thoughts go out to ATLUS right now, who really must be feeling quite crushed.
This is also not going to be helping their confidence coming in the last two games now. Trying to figure out what they can do to try and change the result here. Sorry, there's one. So this is the last game coming in now, isn't it?
Uh, did I not update the score? I must not have updated the score.
Because it's now 8-0 to Oil, and we
Yes,
have
I
won
haven't.
our
I
last
haven't.
game.
I haven't updated the score, so it's now 8-0. You are correct.
So while you do that, we'll have a look at the post battle results, and we'll try and talk about those games. I won't run a strat sketch to go you through what exactly happened there. There's not much I can really go through with that. It's very difficult to try and exactly debunk on what happened in those games. Um, so we'll start with Atlas. Yuhei in his 279, picking up 3.6k damage. Annette in his EBR pick up 2.5, and Mori-chan in his Chieftain pick up 2.3. And then Dilma SDB picking up 3.9k, the Barbarian picking up 3.6, and MIF picking up 3.3k. I've noticed that Dilma, Barbarian, and MIF are constantly the ones that are up the top, so they're probably the ones that like they're the main damage dealers that get damage out quite regularly for Oil. They're the ones that are always up the top there, and obviously they know what they're doing, but they're the names that really stand out the most. But yeah, honestly, I wanna know what's going on with Atlas. Are they just having a bad day, or is it just
I
they're
know.
just getting outplayed?
I know that they do have a couple of Legionnaires that have joined their team, but I don't know. I feel like they're not coordinated. I feel like they're just like not working as a team. And it kind of says it all, the fact that we have Oil players here as 0 damage, and yet are still winning simply because the rest of the team is pulling the weight. Whereas with the ATLUS guys, I feel like the damage is just not there. It might just be a ping issue. I don't know. When I tried earlier on the RU8 server, I got about 300 ping. It's playable-ish, but in a competitive environment, maybe not. Although ATLUS being from Japan might have a little bit better, it could just well be a ping issue, but I think it might just be the fact that they're uncoordinated.
Hmm. Yeah, and also probably coming back from the first couple of games that they had against Oil, seeing how differently they played. Um, Again, like Alice have got no knowledge on how Oil plays, so this is very new to them. So they may be just trying to find ways to counteract Oil's game plan right now. Well, they can't really do that when they're using not using full basically full meta lineups, but um yeah, they're probably just trying to find out how they can try and break this down, how they can try and break Oil's game plan, and hopefully secure a victory. Because Atlas have only got one more chance now. This is their last chance.
This is it. This is the last map. The Prokhorovka is the next map, and look, even against memes, ATLUS is having a really rough time, and I would love to see them get one win on the board. You know, I don't know what to say, because like even that last game, it was a reasonable enough call. The counter push, it was a good choice, but I think, and could we quickly go to a strat sketch if you could set that up?
Yep, I can do that quickly if you want to go through that while I give a code away.
Sure, we can do that. Have
There
you
you go.
got it switched over? Yep, absolutely good. Okay, let me just flip over to this. See if this works. Okay, so we're looking at the ATLUS tanks predominantly located around here, and the Oil tanks pushing up. So they're trapped on this ridge line, and they push down, around, and underneath here, right? So with the ATLUS tanks here, and the Oil tanks here, Oil tanks start poking, and they naturally start losing HP, because they can't pen hull down Chiefs in 279s, whereas the ATLUS tanks having plenty of penetration can deal with STBs with the weak spots on them. One STB comes out wide here, and he doesn't get evaporated, which is an interesting thing. I don't know why he doesn't die quicker. But when the repush comes, if I can just get an arrow, yep, sweet. So the repush from ATLUS comes this way and this way, whereas the oil tanks push like this. So now, what's happened is that the ATLUS tanks have moved into the bad position that oil were in, and oil is now moving up onto the higher ground so they can hold down. And I feel like it was just really badly coordinated on how they were going to push. Yes, they pushed, but did they push the right way? The fact that the tanks here are allowed to escape and get to the higher ground, and this push isn't shut down, even though they had better tanks in that position, I think that ultimately threw that last game. I don't understand why so many tanks have to come around and through this way. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. When they have middle control, because they know there's tanks in the middle. They know that there's not much in the north here, because they did send an EBR up a spot, so pushing across here is actually a really dangerous idea. I feel like ATLUS, if they had really come through the southern half here, and if they wanted to push, leaving a couple of tanks here and pushing on this way would be such a stronger attack. But unfortunately, we don't have much more time to discuss because we're into our hopefully not final game.
So yeah, let's get into it. So ATLUS is doing 5 chieftains, 8 907s and 3 EBRs, while Oil have decided to run all EBRs this time and bring out the wheelie boys.
Yeah, look. I don't know what to say. I think we've seen this lineup before, running 15 EBRs. I'm excited at the fact that they're trying something radical, but I just hope ATLUS guys here can keep their EBRs alive and not bleed, because having that many EBRs is just going to be a really dangerous engagement for them.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on the EBRs play here right now, and it looks like ATLUS is trying to spread their tanks out as much as they can to try and get easy shots onto the EBRs from Oil. And you just see when the EBRs about shit, they all slow down.
Oil having flashbacks of the real Battle of Prokhorovka here. No retreating, no falling back, just pushing straight in. The ATLUS tanks already crossing over to the ridgeline here, sort of having to stop and say, oh, there's a target to shoot here. The oil tanks, realizing that there's a weakness in ATLUS's formation, are immediately grouping up and pushing over onto the 1-2 line. An ST tank here is about to have an absolute nightmare of EBRs in his face. We're now moving into first person of ST tank, and just look at the aiming. He doesn't know where to go, what to do. There's so many tanks just floundering around, but Oil is bleeding a lot of HP here. ATLUS, as they should, are farming all the EBRs in the open.
ATLUS are really going to make sure they get all these shots to count. ATLUS are now up 10k hit points, even though there wasn't much of a hit points difference to start off with, but ATLUS are just trying to do the best they can to whittle down these EBRs, and SC Tank is still alive on 9 hit points, and Oil 3, I believe he doesn't have a username, is going to get taken out by Cafe Lana now.
Yeah, absolutely, and look, it should be this result, in my opinion. I would have been highly surprised if ATLUS didn't shut this down. They spread relatively evenly. They had crossfire. Oil absolutely making the right play, trying to pick apart a weakness. But the EBRs, they are light tanks. They don't have a lot of HP. And they're going to go down for such an aggressive play. I will say, though, round of applause to Aniki and Annette here for keeping alive. Having that many EBR charging towards you, it is tempting to almost go and brawl that, but staying alive against that sort of engagement is not easy.
No, and they've done very well for EBR drivers when they're going over against 15 other EBRs. It must be very difficult to maneuver.
Showing
Um,
showing restraint is a difficult thing for an EBR. You just want to charge in there and spot them and have a good time. But with
yeah,
only a few oil tanks left, as much as I hate to say it, ATLUS have finally picked up a win.
they're finally on the board.
uh,
Oh, Albert, he nearly stuck the landing.
nearly.
He made a
I
glorious
just caught the
dive.
end of that. I just caught the end of that.
Oh,
Mindbreaker and Lexamen are now trying to hide. I can't click them. Why can I not click them?
well, he's dead.
It's not letting me swap teams. That's interesting. Wait, it says that he's still. Okay, observer. What are you
He's dead
doing?
now. He's dead now, Nate Palmer.
It said he's still alive. That's it. Adds another observer bug. We're having a lot of issues with observer tonight. What can I say? ATLUS finally picking up a win on the board. I want to feel happy. I want to feel like good job, guys. You did it. We're going to see the comeback here, but against 15 EBRs, if you don't take that out, I would be highly surprised. But look, ATLUS pulling back the win. Is this the start of the comeback? Ooh, drama, tension. Uh, I digress. But finally, the score leveling above 1, above 0 to 1. So now 8-1 to oil.
So we're gonna get potentially another game out here, maybe another 2 games if Oil decide to throw another meme lineup out there. But let's just have to say, give aggressive a round of applause in his EBR for picking up 3k damage. Holy Jesus!
Alright, just give me 1 second to ready up. There we are. So aggressive, as you said, in the EBR, 3,000 damage, staying alive. And credit where credit's due. In that sort of engagement, living for that long is quite an achievement.
Very. But yeah, so even though they had 15 EBRs running around them, Atlas did an alright job to pick up the damage. So Macho and his 97 pick up 2.4k damage. ST Tank and his 97 pick up 2.3, and Ridomouth and his Chieftain pick up 1.8. And then coming out from Oil, Aggressive picking up 3k, Lexa picking up 2.5, and Mindbreaker picking up 1.7. So I wonder what Oil are going to do now. Atlas how Alice going to think that they're going to throw? Is Oil going to throw another game, or are they going to think that Oil's going to try something a little more serious this time?
Look, I honestly expect Oil to do something silly, and I want to see arting. I don't know about you, but Prokhorovka has always been an artillery map. I want to see 10 artillery. No, I want to see 12 artillery and 3 EBRs. What do you reckon, Ravi?
Hmm.
He's lost for words.
I go 5 EBRs and sorry, no, 10 EBRs and 5 RD.
5-10?
Yep.
I can only imagine the oil caller now in a position to sort of think, okay, what's the silliest thing that we can do? And will we get away with it? Because I feel like oil has proven that they are the stronger clan here. But they can do whatever they like. They can have a bit of fun.
And get away with it.
Exactly. Like, there's 7 games up here. They could just stuff around for 5 games, realistically. And then play serious for 1 and pull the win. So, as much as I want to see serious games here, I feel like realistically this should have been a 9-0 to oil. And honestly, credit where credit's due. Well played to the oil guys. They all night have shown, I'd say, next to no mistakes. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. Like Oil have showed that they're pretty consistent across the board, even when they run non-meta lineups or semi-meta lineups. So yeah, it's it's very interesting to see like um how different level between the 2 clans they are, like the skill level and how much experience both clans have compared to each other. Like obviously we know Oil is one of the top Russian clans or CIS clans out there, and Atlas is a top one for APAC. But you can see how much of a difference between the two servers, how wide the skill gap is. We noticed it was a pretty wide gap between us and EU, and now you can see how much further it is from EU to RU.
Yeah, look, I'm I'm honestly excited for the next game now because I want to see what it is, but Oil proving that they are the strongest. They've taken out a lot of strong clans from EU. They've taken out strong clans from NA. They are one of the best players, I'd say, one of the best clans in the world, if not the best clan in the world.
Mm.
And they're showing it tonight. They're really putting out the best, and it's kind of humbling to see just what sort of level they're up against. But I think there's enough talking. Time for another game.
So this time, Atlas have run 4 chieftains, 7 907s, just exactly 4 and 3 EBRs, while Oil have decided to run 3 strivs this time and 12 EBRs.
So Oil deciding that they need more firepower to be able to take out. So they've swapped out a couple of EBRs to strivs, and well, let's see if it works. Atlas not running artillery for the defense here. Still a triple EBR. Can they keep them alive long enough? And an interesting choice, the version 4. Potentially we'll see that on the 1-2 line, but not a tank I would typically pick for Prokhorovka.
Yeah, I have to agree with that one. But let's see how Oil play this one out. So this time it looks like they're going to send 2 strivs mid. Question mark?
Oil pouring the vodka and about to rush B down the 1-2 line. It is the march of the EBRs. Listen to that symphony of engines charging down the 1-2 line. Atlas not putting anything there, and understandably so, not wanting to get any of their tanks isolated and picked off. Bit of friendly fire ramming there. Atlas taking the eastern side. Oil not slowing down, already pushing on. And what's what's the game plan here? Are they going to try and cap this out?
Yeah, so Atlas have mainly had to pull back from their position zone. They've got all the APIs on cap. They're just doing circles.
They're just driving around in circles. Fortunately for Atlas, they have Object 907s in the middle of the map trying to get crossfire here. But I gotta say, this is like a shooting gallery here. There's so many tanks, and it's hard to know which ones have got the cap points. So we look at this from an overhead perspective. Only now, when some of them are starting to leave the cap, that it's able to be focus fired, but I gotta hand it, it was a ballsy tactic from Oil there.
Yeah, they have that. Oh my god. His EBR was doing a sick jump there to try and get a shot into match with the V4. And obviously, Oil had to pull out from their cap rush into now. Trying to just spread out and get some damage. Try and find some damage now. Atlas are up 8k damage now. And it's, I don't know what you can do about it.
I think it's well and truly over for the Oil guys for this round. But look, it was an interesting idea, putting that many tanks on the cap and driving them around in circles and leaving stribs at the back there to farm everything that pokes up. I think it might have worked a little bit better if they had a couple of tanks that were able to keep their stribs alive. The fact that stribs haven't got anything protecting themselves, they're getting shot in the side, and potentially it could have worked a lot better, but I understand the game's is certainly entertaining now that Oil wants to put on a show.
So, Oil decided to change their strategy for this map, and obviously they're going to give Atlas a second win here to make it a little bit more comfortable. But it's good to see that Oil want to have some fun and keep these games going. Really give Atlas more experience on how the IU clans play in these competitive game modes.
Well, at the very least, it's certainly giving us a little bit more to commentate on, and well, I wouldn't say no to that.
No, I wouldn't say no to that either. So now we just wait for Diffie to die. Annette's going to go down to Diffie, and Anaki's going to finish him off. No, sorry, Yamato Noob does.
On the bright side, though, getting close to your prediction now, 2-8 to Oil. only one more win for Atlas until it reaches your prediction, Ravi. You gotta be excited for that one.
I know yours is a little bit more harder to get.
Oh, look, I have faith that Oil will create the finest memes across any region of World of Tanks.
Well, their next map is going to be Ensk, so who never knows? They're going to bring out something for Ensk.
Oh dear, I can already see it. I'm calling it, Ravi. Jagdpanzers. 15 Jagdpanzer E100. I'm looking at the reaction on your face, and you're saying no, but secretly you want to see it.
I'm going to say E100s.
E100s.
E1 hub dead fails.
Maybe 15 Type 5s with the nerf derp gun? Maybe.
But
it's actually fun now to speculate what sort of memes Oil's going to come up with. But
we
the
can
score.
continue speculating after we go through the battle results. So the score is 9-2. So 8-2.
Just give me 1 second to jump in and ready up, and I will update the score. So 8-2 to Oil still. And just let me quickly load up the battle results, and I'll let you take it away.
So Riddermath in his chieftain pick up 3k damage, Anarchy in his EBR picking up 2k, and Angelina in his EBR picking up 1.8. And then Dilma and his Struve 103B picking up 4.3k damage, Oil 3, I believe that person hasn't changed their name, and their Struve picked up 4k damage, and Aggressive and his Struve didn't fall into the 4k lineup, but he picked up 2.5. So the rush cap strat and do circles nearly worked for Oil, but wasn't good enough.
I feel like there was maybe too many cappers. If they had a couple more damage dealers, it might have actually been okay, because the problem is that ATLUS has to really poke over ridge lines to get resetting shots here and sit in the open to aim on these EBRs. And if Oil had maybe 3 more Strivs, it could have been a completely different outcome.
Yeah, I reckon they just need a couple more tanks to paint to get some damage out, and I reckon that would have happened. They would have been able to do that. So, but yeah, we got 3 minutes left to go through these games. I'm just doing a couple of codes while I have time.
Yeah, absolutely. Take the time. I'm trying to keep my voice. I'm losing. I've been talking too much. This stream is this has been a 2-hour stream non-stop, and Oil are insisting on going for a little bit longer and making sure that I lose my voice entirely.
Oh, no stream for you later tonight then?
No, definitely not. But while you hand out some codes, I will make sure our next map is prepared. So next map will be Ensk with ATLUS on the defense. Oil on attack. Attacking on Ensk with memes. Maybe we could see E50Ms even. That would be that would be an interesting choice. But the question here, we know that Oil isn't trying. We know that Oil is putting on a show, and it's entertaining to be sure. But the question is, when is it going to be enough for them? When are they going to say, "All right, we've had our fun. Time to go to bed"?
Unless they're waiting for a specific map, maybe like Malinovka, where they could probably run Manticores.
I'm switching back to camera here because I want the world to see how disgusted that I am.
Come on, Manticores are a good tank. I have to say that. To everyone in chat, if you do not know, I have full bonded equipment on my Manticore. You can flame me in chat later. I have full bonded equipment. I spent 15k bonds on my Manticore. There, you can flame me in chat later.
I am dying a little bit inside here. I am dying. Well, what can I say? What can I say? It's been an entertaining show tonight.
So we got 40 seconds left till we get into the next game. On N Square, Oil is on the defense. Am I correct?
No,
No,
Atlas
they're
is
on
on the defense.
Atlas is on the defense.
Look,
So,
what can I say? This is going to be an interesting game.
So yeah. All right. We'll make a prediction. What do you think Oil are going to bring out? What tank they're going to bring 15 of?
It's attack. I reckon we're going to see, let's say E50Ms, 15 E50Ms.
I'm still going to go with, but they can make E100s work. That's the thing.
On an attack though, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. I'm going to go E50M.
I'm still going E100s.
Type
5 heavies.
We're both wrong.
Well, you did mention Type 5 heavies.
I did. The question is, are they running the derp gun? Well, would you like to tell the world what the tanks are for this game?
So, Atlas have decided to run 3 279Es, 8 chieftains, a 268 V4 and 2 E4s, while Oil decided to run 15 Type 5 heavies, and we'll find out in a second if they are running the derp gun. And would you have a look at the hit point difference? Oil are up over 10k already.
It is a lot, and I'm looking at the equipment. I'm seeing super heavy spore liners on these Type 5s.
Alright, I believe some of them are running the AP gun and some are running the HE gun.
Yeah, I'm seeing a bit of a split. Might come down to player's choice here. Atlas, though, Atlas is taking this seriously. They're setting up with a traditional Ensk camp defense, a couple of chieftains up on the 0 line, a couple of E4s and a 268 version 4 guarding the railway. Not able to connect enough shots, though, to justify it. But it's a very generic camp, having a couple of tanks spread out, a couple of tanks in the windows. Interesting, the window at B3, B4 not being adopted by Atlas here. That might come back to bite them later on. And Yuhei in the chieftain with Tuku up on the 1 line, setting up a defense. And we're going to go drop into the first person perspective of Yuhei here, because he's about to have a very interesting fight with a couple of Type 5 heavies.
Let's just watch how this fight's going to unfold. Oh, there's a penny shot coming out on SD Type 5. Ooh, over 1,000 damage there.
That being said, though, the HP is still up in Oil's favour. It's a question of, can Atlas farm hard enough? And Oil revealing that they are going for a heavy play in the city side. The question is, can Atlas get the rest of their tanks into the fight here? We're going to abandon Yuhei here. Sorry, Yuhei. We're going to go explore Mori-chan, who is now flanking around the back of the cap here. It's interesting, Random Style taking a lot of damage from the tank destroyers on the rail yard. Is now down to a 1-shot. Allied tank is now taking him out. And with a Type 5 on the cap is now very low HP. Atlas making a play around the back here and bring back the HP.
Yeah, Atlas have brought the HP back down to 2k difference. And Atlas are making a bit of a repush here. Like I said, there's a bit of a overmatch in the E3, E2, D2 position, and they're trying to bleed out these tanks. And these Type 5 heavies just have HE low, and they're just buttering through Developer on the 279E. And Developer loses 3 crew members there. He's gunner, loader, and driver.
Tuku taking up a barrage of high explosives from the other Type 5s guarding the alleyway. And Atlas really losing trades here. I almost feel like this repush was not needed. Atlas on the defense could have just sat there and waited. Although they are taking the HP down slowly, the question is, can they hold their hit points long enough for the rest of the team to arrive? They have now captured the south. I feel like Oil now has to make an aggressive play to take out the 1-2, and it's going to happen. Yuhei is now taking damage, Developer's taking damage, Tuku is taking damage. But it's not enough. The Atlas tank swarming in, aggressive, about to have a bit of company from Matcha here in the Object 268 version 4. And we've officially proved the Type 5 Heavy needs a buff. Confirmed here on the Wargaming Ages channel.
It's absolutely confirmed. So ATLUS 2 managed to pick up another win here. My prediction is currently coming true if Oil take out the next game. But yeah, it looked like the all Type 5 lineup was going to work for Oil, but I'm guessing the HE matches weren't outputting enough damage onto ATLUS's team.
I think it ultimately comes down to the high explosive gun having the nerf potential, not being able to do enough damage. The AP gun not having the penetration to deal with heavily armored tanks like a 279, like a Chieftain, like a version 4 without getting, really well aimed shots. And the high explosive gun proving incredibly ineffective unless it's in a salvo. And I think a couple of instances the Chieftains have really underestimated exactly just how much damage 3 Type 5 heavies with a derp gun can certainly deal. It's nowhere near as much as it used to be. Like, having 4 or 5 Type 5 heavies on the corner with the old HE gun, it was a scary thing. You could lose your tank in a bad poke, but Rafi is very happy now because he's made his prediction.
Well, if the Oil take out this next game, my prediction has come true. But we have to find out. But we'll go through the post-battle results here quickly before we go into the next game.
Yes, the score is currently 3-8 to Oil.
Yes. So, ATLUS, Yuhei in his chieftain pick up 4.3k damage, Anarchy in his chieftain pick up 4.1, and Macho in his 268v4 picking up 3.8, and Lahane in his Type 5 picking up 3.2, Diffie in his Type 5 as well, picking up 2.3, and Dilmar again picking up 2.2. So damage spread coming up pretty evenly on Oil, but again, the guns from the Type 5 guns just weren't outputting enough damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at Dema, I'm going to call him Dema here, he's fired 5 shots, none of them have connected, and 2 of them have hit. So we can assume that he's running the high explosive gun because he's dealing damage here but not penetrating. From 2 damaging hits, he's done less than 600, so averaging about 300 per shot. That's really, really low in terms of output, and I'd almost question whether running high explosive guns on all of them would have been better, or running the high explosive guns on none of them would have been better.
I think probably doing a bit of a mixture of both might be handy there.
Well, I'm curious because it looks like the ones that were dealing the least amount of damage were the ones running high explosive. So potentially if they had committed to the full high explosive, they could have just gone, we poke, we just give you an HE barrage, bang, 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 and then we pull back, wait for the reload, and do it again. Whereas I feel like having the mixed guns would have been difficult for a caller to coordinate and in positioning, but that's assuming that Oil even has a caller at this point and they're not just playing it like a puppy. So, yeah, it's certainly an interesting engagement. Yuhei picking up a lot of damage in the Chieftain, but it's not surprising considering his position. He was hull down on the 1 line. And it's a good position. And when you have Type 5 heavies with flat armor that are poking out into your gun, you're naturally going to get a lot of damage.
So we've got less than 90 seconds left into our 12th game now. So what are your predictions for tanks this time from Oil?
Look, I want to see Jagdpanzers. Sorry, I'm just trying to send a Discord message. I want to see Jagdpanzers. I want to see 15 Jagdpanzers or 15 268 version 4s, or I want to see something unusual. I almost want to see version 4s now. I want to see like a full object 268 version 4, send it down the rail yard. See what works. Because the thing is, right, Oil is in the position where they can say, what's the stupidest thing you can think of? And will it work?
Maybe it will work.
I mean, the Swedish special on Sand River, it worked.
It worked, but are they going to do another national lineup? We'll have to find out. And I'm getting told to please uninstall from the chat from my comment before, but you know.
Wow, the toxicity.
Toxicity from a fellow CC. But we got less than 10 seconds to our 12th game. Oil are up 8-3 right now. Will this be the last game, or will Oil bring out another meme lineup to extend the games out even more?
Indeed, and a bit of an unusual mixture here. Let's head into the game. Would you like to talk about the teams?
Yep, so Alice have brought one mouse, 6279Es, 4 chieftains, a 430U, and 3 E4s. While this time Oil have decided to bring out some hard hitter tanks. 260 TPs, a mouse, Type 5 heavy, 3 VKs, a shit barn, sorry, a FE4 05, I apologise for my language, 3 Yag Panzers, and an E3 and 2 V4 E4s. Sorry, I'm used to calling it that because that's what it's known for. Or it could be known as the Death Barn now.
Oh, good. So yeah, we're seeing quite an interesting variety of tanks from the Oil folks. We're seeing a face-off here between Dessert and Random Style. Yes, I am. What is going on here? Look, if this is the meta, folks. Like, this is how you win Clan Wars campaigns. You just need to shoot your allies a couple of times. So,
Dilmar was set on fire by. Oh, okay. He's lost all of his hit points. He's down 800 now. So Dilmar did take a bit of a hard hit there. And he's going to be easy to dig out in that A0 con. No, never mind. He's dead.
Indeed. So the 279s from ATLUS here are moving up into the courtyard, taking control of the windows here, and really trying to assert a bit of map control. And I guess now that while they're bringing meme lineups, ATLUS are really starting to show a lot more potential. And I'm glad to see that that is the case. They really were struggling in the first couple of matches. So looking at a push coming aggressively out here on the eastern side of the map, we're seeing Morich here. We're going to take his perspective here in the Chieftain, moving around onto the cap. And there's a lot of tanks here from Oil that are caught out on the rail yard. Type 5 heavies and Yay Pandas are about to get a bit of a nasty surprise up the backside.
They are caught in a massive crossfire there. You got the tanks down south at J6 and tanks at C6 as well. Caught these guys in the crossfire. Barbarian's down on 94 hit points. He's going to get the kill shot from ATLUS, and Mindbreaker goes down to the Type 5 heavy. Can they get rid of the Barbarian now? Barbarian has tucked himself nicely into that spot there.
ATLUS doing exactly what they should here. They're surrounding, but interesting enough, the Oil guys are now moving aggressively out into the city, taking out a couple of 279s in the process. But I feel like ATLUS still have the advantage, even though they are in a bit of a tight spot with this 279 here, Showjack. But I feel like Oil really doesn't have much to do in terms of rotation, especially with their lineup.
ATLUS are on the defense, so they just need to hold positions and try and keep the hit points up, because the hit points are quite even now. Oil are taking the lead a little bit now, as you can see.
ATLUS are on the attack, I should mention here.
Are they? Oh, I haven't
they
checked
are.
around.
They are. Yes, I've checked that.
My bad. So Oil are on the defense.
It's interesting though, the HP are slowly leveling out, and I feel like the ATLUS guys are bleeding a little bit here. And with them all spread out, this could be quite disastrous if they don't work as a team. That being said though, Oil 3 and Random Style are caught out and very low HP in the south here. And the T110E4 Yamato New, we're going to take a little bit of a look at from his perspective here.
So, ATLUS are up by 800 points right now, and they're Nero on the Object 430U goes down to the mouse, and it has become a very, very tight situation for ATLUS. They've taken control of the 6 line now, and now they're just going to try and pick off tanks.
Yamato took a massive hit there from the T124 Lexaman. And the HP it's level. It shouldn't be level, but it's level. And I really feel like it's going to come down here to surrounding isolated tanks, getting kills. ATLUS are up tanks, but the oil tanks are really quite healthy. We've got a 1700 HP Mouse, 1500 HP T110E4. I really feel like the ATLUS guys, they do have the advantage, but they need to work as a team and make sure they can get the kills here. Albert's being focused down. He does get taken out. And ATLUS now down HP. Every single tank is under 1,000 hit points, but swarming their prey, the ATLUS tanks are slowly trying to find angles to pick them apart.
All these tanks are a one-shot for that E4, except for Anarchy. And Yamano just picked up 3 kills, and Hyatt picked up 3 kills in his mouse as well. And it looks like ATLUS will take the win for this one, so it looks like it's going to be 8-4 to ATLUS. To Oil, sorry.
Indeed, so now my prediction is the correct one. But, look, honestly, I can't fault ATLUS that game. They did exactly what they should. They've made an aggressive play, they've established a strong defense. Yes, they were ready for the repush because they were already pressuring the cap, but I feel like now that there are much more games that have been played, ATLUS is finding its footing. It's just a shame that they're finding their footing against memes. And I would like to see, like, when is Oil going to flip the switch and say, okay, look, we're going to play seriously now?
Can't be much too longer because I don't know how much longer Oil gonna keep playing like this. Are they gonna keep going, or are they gonna decide to start playing with a serious lineup now?
The thing is, as well, right, if Oil keeps running silly lineups, how far are they going to push it? Are they going to make it a tiebreaker? And if they do make it a tiebreaker, they could potentially lose this. I mean, it's a long shot to be sure. Oil only needs to win one more game. But at what point do they say, okay, enough is enough, we want our win? So, what can I say? Everyone's guessing. Everyone's guessing at this point. In a lot of other tournaments, it's easy enough to say, okay, they're clearly a superior team. It's not going to be long now, but we don't know. It's just really hard to tell.
So watching ATLUS in that game, they actually look like they found some rhythm in their rotations and their plays, whereas before it was very static and very hesitant on what they wanted to do. They set back just a little bit too much, and then in that game they actually had to put the foot down, and when they did that, it looks like they found momentum and they look like they were synchronized.
Indeed. So updating the score now, 8-4. ATLUS clawing back a little bit of ground, but they've still got a long way to go before they level the scores here. But look, what can I say? It's memes. I'm kind of liking it. On one hand, I think just get it over and done with because the serious games are done. On the other hand, I want to see the silliest things and see what ATLUS does to react to it.
Yeah, same here.
Our next map, Malinovka. Would you like to talk about that while I set up our observer?
Yep. So Malinovka. So who we have on the defense first? It will be Oil on the defense first. This is Atlus's map pick. Malinovka is pretty much like Proc. You need to have you need to try and get vision on enemy teams so you can get a good idea on where they're going. So generally you'll see about 3 EBRs, sometimes 4 coming out from either side. That way they can run at least 2 to control mid, and then 1 to go hill and the 1 to go south. Or they might even just throw 3 in mid and 1 at the hill. The idea is you just want to try and just spot the team and see what's going to happen. And then you can play the rest from there. You can either play down the south of the map or play north. It's Malinovka is open to both flanks. You can even you can even just send tanks hill and hold, while you do a push down the south, or you can just have tanks hold in the enemy's base while you push hill. The strats for Malinovka are very they change every time.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't put it past Oil to run 15 T110E3s and just push through the field and see if that does anything, you know? I'm curious. I want to see what they can do to meme it, because they've already done the EBRs. I feel like I'd be cheated almost if they ran 15 EBRs again. But maybe this might be the artist time to shine. What do you think?
No, I reckon this time they're going to run at least a semi-serious lineup, and they might close it off here.
You reckon they're going to close it
Yeah,
off here?
I reckon they
Ooh.
will.
I don't know. I kind of want to see something weird. What's a weird medium tank that's acceptable in the meta? Ooh, what about a Centurion? 15 Centurions?
How about Brigettos?
Bat chat.
Yeah, and then watch them all run when they're on reload.
15 bat chats on reload.
They all run for the hills.
Come on, Oil. 15 bat chats. Let's go.
So we've got 2 minutes left until game 13 starts. So your scores are 8-4. Oil are winning. They decide to make these games a little more entertaining by not necessarily they're making the series more interesting, let's say. And meanwhile, while doing that, looks like ATLUS have found some footing, and it's very good that ATLUS have found a bit of footing. So hopefully, when Oil bring a semi-serious lineup, that ATLUS can actually contest with them really well, and it should be a close game.
I find
But
I find as well that ATLUS is playing better after they're getting a couple of wins under their belt. I think it might just be a confidence thing.
mm, they may have finally be able to like be able to stand back up and get some positivity back in the guys and
Yeah.
really try and get them to, like we can get a game off them if they play serious, and that's what they're trying to do. Keep the positivity high.
Alrighty, so we are a little under a minute away from our next map, Malinovka. Quite an interesting map in terms of meta. I have seen artillery used in this. At the same time, I do see a lot of 907s, I do see chieftains, I do see EBRs. Not as many tank destroyers as I used to see. It used to be a relatively common thing to see maybe 1 or 2 tank destroyers on Malinovka, especially for the defensive team. But we'll wait and see. I want to see exactly what sort of lineup Oil is going to bring. Are they going to play serious? Are they going to do something unusual? Are they just going to run full memes? We have 14 seconds until we find out. And I didn't have a drink of water.
Generally, you'll see on this map when they play RD, it's object 261 because of they don't use it for like the damage. They use it for the stun, and also the fast reload. And we'll see that coming out not in this game, unfortunately. So here we go. It looks
No.
like we got a bit of a serious lineup coming up from Oil now. So ATLUS, they're running 197, 2 Chieftains, 6 907s, 4 EBRs, and 2 CGCs. While Oil are running a 2790, 2 Chieftains, 7 907s, 3 EBRs, and a WG 100 and a C92.
It's interesting. ATLUS opting for the 4th EBR, potentially looking to try and get a couple of early EBR picks. Both teams running double artillery. ATLUS opting the double GC. Oil opting for a bit of a mix, a GW and a T92. The question is, which one will be the better pick here?
Obviously, with the CGC, the slow shell velocity is going to affect it, while the WD100 has an alright rate of fire, good splash, and has good shell velocity with it. And it looks like Angelina's going very aggressive, trying to pick off the EV there. And Random decides to mount the rock there, and does get picked off by a kicker on the 907.
Yeah, certainly an interesting early engagement. Random style going down. Not a good start for Oil. They really need to try and take it back a bit of ground here. That being said though, Angelina pinned in the corner here with double artillery. He is getting hammered and not a lot of hiding spaces. Curious though, I do believe, let me just double check this. This is Oil's defense. Oil not opting to take the hill.
No, they're just sending one EBR up there to try and get vision, see if there's anything up there, and they just screen out their EBR so they can send a couple of 9.7s up there to try and put a little bit of pressure on the hill. And
It's a slower play on the hill. It's interesting. They're not really contesting it hard. They're really trying to play almost a campy game here.
And Cape Lana picks off near you on the 9.7 down in the low part. And he does take a massive hit from artillery and the 279E.
Yeah, this is not good for Capelano. He really needs to get into cover. If he doesn't get into cover soon, he is not spotted at the moment. But if that 907 lights him up, he is going to get shut down pretty quickly. That being said, though, interesting play. We're seeing Kicker here in the 907 now moving up to support Angelina and harassing the base, but not a lot of cover. Kicker trying to use the corpse at random style. We can see the artillery markers lining up Kicker. I don't know, can he get away from this? Was this even a necessary play? Atlas has to do something. They are on the attack here, but this is quite an interesting defense coming from Oil. So I think we just heard that. That was a nasty hit. Kicker taking a lot of damage. So what we're seeing here is we're seeing a couple of chieftains now moving to the top of the hill. We're seeing a couple of tanks sitting in the base here. We've got a 279 and a 907 holding the base, a chieftain and a 907 further back to provide fire support, a 907 protecting the army from an EBR rush, and now Oil is starting to take the hill, but not the best time. Mindbreaker on a spotting run gets taken out, and now with Oil only having one EBR left, they are slowly starting to lose a bit of vision control.
I like where they've got Desert right now in the 907. They're up under the recent proxy spot, and those chieftains playing that ridge line. And he's going to punish any chieftains that get very cheeky to try and shoot down on him, and his teammates are going to assist him with that. He's got artillery support as well to try and punish Amori-chan and Yuhei and the chieftain.
But Yamato knew, but having none of this, he's pushing around. He wants Desert dead. He's using the rock for cover. Niru moving in for the kill. Niru not able to get into cover either. He is now taking a lot of damage from Myth in the Object 907. Was that really worth it? They bled, I'd say, 2,000 HP just trying to get that one kill. Niru now down to a one-shot, and the HP leveling out. Atlas really going to have to use their artillery to get an HP lead here.
So the hit points are still very close. There's only 100 points between both teams, with Oil leading the team hit point difference. And Neri is on 143 hit points, but he's still playing a semi-aggressive position to try and spot for his team.
So we've got a net here, moving up into the middle of the map next to Matcha in the 907 here, and Atlus's play in the south has been completely shut down. We're actually seeing a bit of a push coming out from the Barbarian, and he's pushing out onto the 1-2 line. He was going to commit further on, but I feel like he doesn't want to go too deep because he knows there's going to be light tanks there spotting him, and Atlas really have to capitalize on this. They know there's one tank isolated here. If they can group up and kill him, that's a free tank, and when they're down 1,000 HP, this is something they really need to do.
And it took a lot of hit points trying to get out from where he was with Matcha, and he took a lot of damage for it. He's lost about 4 of his wheels, so he's lost a lot of his mobility.
That being said though, Atlas with 5 minutes left, not taking the advantage to kill a target here. They don't know what sort of support he has. I mean, we can see here through the observer that he has no support. Even Diffie only now moving up into a position to get a bit of fire support out. But listen to that pinging. Atlas is really trying to capitalize on this position, and now Atlas have actually abandoned the hill. If we go to have a look at Ridomaf here, he is just sitting at the foot of the hill, and I almost think that they don't want the hill because they know if they get spotted, the double artillery, who have nothing better to do, will just shoot and farm.
Atlas are doing a lot of blind fire in the bushes in front of Dilma's position. See if they can try to get a couple of shots off. And Dilma knows that they're going to keep blind firing those bushes, so he's just playing safe behind the buildings. You have Anarchy and the EBR just doing circles in the middle. Literally just doing circles in the middle.
Could you just quickly clarify for me, how much HP does a net have? Because it says on one end he has 294, on the other end he has 1300, so I think it's a bug?
It's a bug. He's got 294.
Okay, so all our EBRs, except for Aniki, are low HP.
Yes.
So, the reason why I bring this up is Atlas have the triple EBR, they have the double arty, they need to just spot targets and let the artillery do the work. The longer that they're not dealing damage with arty, the less likely they're going to win this, simply because they will run out of time. They don't have enough time to deal with hit points. With now 3 minutes 20 seconds on the clock, Oil is on defense. They can just sit there and do nothing, and they will win this because they only need one more win to secure the victory.
They know that they can play for time, and they've got the positioning here. They've got the spots. They've still got tanks to try and get the vision. Even though they don't have any EBRs left, they've still got Barbarian, who's in aggressive position. They're just trying to slow play the Chieftain down the corner. Barbarian just doing the best he can to get some damage out from Artie, and does lose about 400 hit points from Atlas's Artie. I believe that was Igoritaro that just shot.
Raphael going down, trying to get an aggressive spot on aggressive, funny enough, but not able to get a light, and unfortunately that means the artillery are not going to deal any damage to this. We are seeing, though, the IS-7 moving to a position on the hill now, again, to deal damage. He's sort of gone down, come back up. Barbarian, the 907, does go down. Atlas have a significant tank advantage, but are down HP by 1,000 here. They really need to utilize their superior positions, and a lot of tanks just died there. What happened there?
Albert just got double artied. He was on 1,000 hit points and he had none left.
That's a lot of pain. Oil are now down HP slightly, and we're slowly seeing a lot of the Atlas tanks closing in. That's the 2-minute siren. Atlas having to deal with 5 full HP tanks here in 2 minutes is not going to be easy. I really feel Atlas needs to capitalize on taking out the Object 279, the southern half of the map, and really try and play for cap here, because they're blind pushing into tanks. So Copiate's actually relocated back to K0, anticipating this push to come, and he's now sitting at the back farming. Dima at the front here, and the Chieftain is taking the brunt of the fire, but Copiate at the back just dealing damage. 1 minute 25 seconds on the clock. Atlas bleeding HP like no tomorrow. This is a disaster. Atlas is going to have to get on the cap right away, but Copiate full HP. He just has to roll forward and spot, and he can easily reset here. With all the EBRs from Atlas now dead, they had 3 EBR advantage. This is a throw, but Oil now leveling out in HP. It's close. It shouldn't be close, but it's close.
Both MIF and Kapite are still pretty much full hit points. And now he's probably going to go down to MIF in just a second. Here we go. And it's 2v4. They've still got 2 IDs to work with. 50 seconds left. And
I think this is over.
I
think this is over. Artillery is only going to get a couple more shots. 860 penetration! That might have just saved the game for Atlas, but 35 seconds, SG Tank taking a massive amount of damage. This is about as close as it could possibly get. Artillery hammering over. Atlas now realizing their mistake. They should have capped. They should have used the opportunity where they can. 25 seconds left. Artillery is not going to get enough damage out in this short space of time. Unfortunately, this looks like the end for Atlas.
MIF is just going to keep running towards the hill and get space. Kapite is just going to keep hiding that corner. They're not going to even take him out. They know that MIF is just going to run, and there's only 5 seconds left on the clock. They're going to draw it out, and it looks like Oil are going to take the win.
Yes, unfortunately, a draw is a win for Oil, so Atlas's dreams have been shattered. This is probably the closest game we have seen between Atlas and Oil, and I love this game. This was just everything happening at once. It's a shame that they threw it at the end. I really feel that the cap play needed to be made rather than trying to spot and push onto the 0 line, but that's it. It's over, unfortunately for Atlas. That is the game, and hearing those lower brass sounding the horns of defeat, Atlas with 4-9 against Oil.
But looking at that game, Atlas, that was Oil playing with a serious lineup there, and Atlas actually did really well against a serious lineup from Oil. So hopefully, like, them getting momentum after a couple of wins when Oil were taking meme lineups, that's what helped them there. That's what helped them get some rhythm, get some synergy back in the team, and it was really handy for that.
Yeah, look, I certainly think if Oil had played serious the whole time, Atlas wouldn't have even gotten the scoreboard. But I definitely think that I definitely think that last game was probably the closest it could have been. It's just that one mistake. Oil proving time and time again they're not making that many mistakes. Even when running meme lineups, like for a defense, that was a respectable camp by Oil. And ATLUS, even though they were coming prepared for it, being talented in playing slow, just made that critical mistake of not going for the capture circle with 2 minutes left, trying to get the kill, and the 907 just escaping to the hill. It's all over for them. They can't do anything.
Hmm. But yeah, that game was really good to watch. It was even though it was a loss for Alice, it was a good game to end on. A really good series. Alice tried their best against one of the top Russian clans, or CIS clans, I should say. Oil just show why the CIS region, the skill cap between the two servers is so high. Um, and
Absolutely. I mean, the Russian server, or CIS server, has always been considered one of the strongest, and tonight I think they have well and truly proven that. The fact that they can run meme lineups and still get away with it in a couple of instances, it proves that they are a very, very skilled clan.
mm. But for the last time, we'll go through the battle results for that before we wrap things up.
Sure, let me just fire that up right away.
So Opalus in the Conqueror GC showing that he is a really good arty player. He picked up 3.2k damage. Yuhei in his Chieftain picking up 2.9. Mori-chan in his Chieftain picking up 2.8 as well. And Gurusara in his arty picking up 2.6 as well. So both arty players doing a really good job there. MIF and the 97 picking up 4.8k damage. Really nicely done there. Demo picking up 3k in his Chieftain and Aggressive Oil in his arty piece picking up 2.4k. Unfortunately, Oil 3 and the T92 didn't do as well as his Artie teammate, but still, it was a really good game to end on. The only thing I could say from this with ATLUS is they can just go back through the replays and review everything that happened and hopefully learn from it for next time we have another one of these showdown matches against other regions.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think honestly that last game, the Atlas guys can certainly look at what they could have done better and improve, and I think it's a reality check for Atlas that there are different playstyles. People can run weird lineups, people can run weird strats and still work. I think Atlas really have gotten used to the meta being quite stale on the Asia server, being, your typical lineups and not running anything too unique, and then being surprised by that. So I think Atlas can quite comfortably walk away from this saying that they've learned something.
Yeah, and it's like when they versed the V about a month ago, they would have learned something from that as well, and how different each server, like the different how different each server plays and what their play style is for competitive gameplay. And these games tonight is just a perfect example on how different the Apex server plays to the CIS region. Um, it's much more fast paced yeah, Atlas just couldn't keep up in the early games of this series.
Yeah, look, I definitely think it's a meta clash, as you said,
Hmm.
and honestly, I'm happy. My prediction was right. So
Your prediction was right.
my prediction was right. So look, I definitely think if they could have another crack at it, Atlas could certainly pull a better score, especially against some of the more serious lineups. I feel like early on, Atlas really lost a lot of confidence, losing game after game after game. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but in my opinion, especially playing campaign, when you have so many battles back to back to back and you're losing, it's demoralizing for a player, and more so for a caller because you feel responsible for the loss for your team. And so being able to pick yourself up and just go, right, next game, it's a skill. And to see Atlas even get on the scoreboard was a big win for me.
Hmm. Like even though I think some of the wins that they had were to do with Oil playing some meme lineups, but if they needed a bit of a confidence boost to try and get themselves back into it, try and get some positivity back in the comms and try and make it look like they want to be there and they want to take a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And hats off to ATLUS for actually playing serious the whole way through. I know a lot of
Mm,
clans would have just given up and just run meme against meme and tried to put on a show, you know, but ATLUS sticking to their guns the whole way through, took it serious, and honestly, that's that's all you can really expect. Oil
mm,
proving the stronger clan for sure, and I think if Oil didn't play as serious, uh, so if Oil played more serious in all of their games, they would have absolutely just gone 9-0. But then we would have never seen that final Malnovka game. And honestly, I didn't see either team really making bad plays, other than ATLUS kind of threw a little bit of HP away to kill that 907 and not capping, but up until that point, it was a pretty well played game by both teams.
yeah, I have to agree that even though that Atlas had more tanks, they just it looks like they had less map control, but they had had more guns. So with the EBR spotting, they were able to pick off a couple of shots before moving into a different position.
Indeed. But shall we wrap it up and call it a night?
I believe we should. It's getting quite late here.
It is. So, once again, congratulations to Oil. Very, very well played. Very strong players. Bad luck to ATLUS. Well done for sticking at it. You put on a show. We appreciate that. And hopefully, we see more from this in the future.
Hmm. And just quickly, a massive thank you to all the Wargaming Asia staff that let myself and Nate Palmer do the ANZ casting. Again, they also letting other language CCs or players cast for the other region, other countries, I should say. Yeah, a big shout out for Wargaming for let us stream on their channel and able to provide you these kind of games. Napa and I have done this. This is our fourth time now,
Fourth
or
time,
third
I
time.
believe. Third or fourth time.
Yeah, third or
It's. I think it'd be. No, we've done NA, EU, RU, and then we did
the clan
the
tournament.
clan tournament in Asia. This is our fourth one.
So yeah, this is our fourth time doing it, and obviously we keep getting invited back, so we must be doing a pretty good job. So again, thank everyone out there for supporting us as we do this. All the feedback that we get is much appreciated. So, but yeah,
Indeed, I hope you all enjoyed the show tonight. I've had a blast calling. I don't know about you, Ravi. Some of the meme lineups and just having a guess about what sort of things they're going to bring, it was quite entertaining for me, and I definitely feel satisfied from these games tonight.
I've learned a few things or two as a caller on how what kind of things that you could try and adapt into your calls or your strats for competitive gameplay. But yeah, it's been very fun casting and also observing these games as well.
But look, I think we wrap it up here. Once again, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you've all had a blast. Have an absolutely great night. Once again, my name's Snape Armour. Have a great, great night. I'll catch you next time.
This is Ravi. Take care, everyone. I'll catch you later.
Cheers, folks. Have a great night. We are done.